here with South Metro Weather, and I guess there might be some new folks. I know you were, there was a couple of people asking, is it just ads? Is there no video? Well, if you read the text, it says it's beginning soon. Basically what you're seeing is that screen allows me to start up the live stream there, and then it gives me a few moments to share the video where I need to, make sure it's working correctly. That couple of minutes there is pivotal for me to make sure that the stream is working correctly. And we definitely want everything to be working as well as possible today, because we do have a lot of storms out there, mostly across Ellis and parts of northern Navarro County here at the moment. And these storms are not yet severe, but if you look east of us, those definitely are over in Henderson County, and we could easily see storms becoming severe today, quickly intensifying. I do think we have some reports of hail right now in these couple of storms. The storm over Waxahachie right now, and then there's the storm just south of Ennis as well. So we'll put this into motion here, and you'll be able to see, let me double the frames here, and you'll be able to see how quickly these storms blow up. And just look, I mean, there's nothing there, and then they quickly blossom. And if I look outside the studio right now, let me go ahead and open the window behind me here, and I'm not seeing any hail right now, but I am getting reports of hail nearby. I'm seeing next to Shackleford, and that's kind of in the area I'm in. So we are definitely seeing intensifying storms. Now, I understand there's a lot of people that are going to be sending me messages during this live stream. It's not likely that I'll be able to see them. You know, when I'm live like this, odds are I probably won't be able to watch what you're sending me, but I appreciate the reports. So the storm in the Ennis area does appear to be probably intensifying more so, well, really both of them. You look closely, the storm over Waxahachie and that one in Ennis, I'm pretty sure we're looking at increasing hail sizes there most likely. So definitely looking at these two storms as they intensify. We'll take a look at the hail cores here too. And, oh yeah, nice hail core south side of Waxahachie here, probably headed towards Lake Waxahachie here shortly. And then on the south side of Ennis, a couple of cores as well. That's going to be heading towards the Alma and Rice areas as well. So these two storms are the two most intense storms we have right now. This could be a very long afternoon. We could be spending a lot of time together today here on this live stream, and because I don't think that these storms are going to be it. I think we will see more. What we have going on today is severe thunderstorm warning coming for Ellis and probably northern Navarro County for these two storms. So we will see that shortly. But you can kind of see this boundary. If you look, you can at least see part of it. This outflow boundary is kind of the focal point for the development of these storms. We've been watching this all day. We've been waiting for this for the last few days. And unfortunately, it was one of those situations where we really couldn't get a better handle, a good handle on what was going on until we got to this morning. And when we saw, when we saw the outflow boundary kind of stall out, that gave us our best idea of where we were looking at things, focusing, and you can see that it goes from Benbrook to Burleson, almost to Venus there, and then really it kind of settles, kind of drapes over Ellis County. So here is this severe thunderstorm warning, starting at Waxahachie here, going over towards Ennis, all the way up to Palmer and Ferris, on over really into Kaufman County, and then down to Alma and Rice in northern Navarro County, just north of Corsicana there. So this is in effect until 4:30 p.m. It is now about 3:30, so about an hour-long warning. And I will tell you that this storm, the one south of Ennis, does appear to have hit severe levels. That will continue on to the east, so I imagine there will be a new warning issued for northern Navarro County and western Henderson County here for this storm. Yes, there's plenty of hail in both of these storms, and I'm not seeing any hail as of yet at my location. I do think that the hail is mostly south of me right now. I'm watching, and I'm seeing plenty of large raindrops, but not seeing any hail yet where I am. But plenty, and I can see it all in the comments here, plenty of reports of hail going on across the area. Now, a couple of what have I been calling it? A couple of things that I'll mention here. Let me make sure I pull up a couple of things. Number one, there is, I think that there somewhere is the Cash App and the Venmo links. That is a way that you can support the channel. This is one of those things you hear from all your YouTube creators and all these kind of things. It's something that I have been reminded over and over again to say, that we do have ways that you can support the organization here, the channel. And then also I want to let you know, if you're watching on Facebook, hop over to YouTube, check out the YouTube stream, and that usually gives you better quality. It's more crisp. You can put it, it's easier to put on your TV because Facebook has gotten rid of those TV clients. So you're no longer able to watch it on anything but a computer screen or a phone screen, which can be pretty small. You go to YouTube, you can put it on the big screen. We also do have, yes, that live radar stream. It's radar only. You don't have me getting in the way or anything of that sort. So that will allow you to get out there and see the whole area that is being covered here. Not just, let me see if I can get this pulled up, not just the really the limited kind of version of everything that you might feel like you're getting here. So let me actually update this, and because I know people are going to ask for it, and I have promised certain people that I was going to post it. Well, if I can get it over to the right screen and stop getting things blowing up on my phone. That's the thing that happens, is when there's something impressive like hail or whatever the case might be, you know, that we get that stuff all the time. So I want to make sure to post this. Get those things out there to fulfill the commitments I've made here. All right, so that's all of the boring stuff I'm going to talk about, the necessary stuff, the businessy stuff, right? That's all we're going to do. I'm going to get back to the weather here. We do have these two severe thunderstorms. Both of them are warned. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. This is the first warning we've had today. We also do have a severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect until 10 p.m. So we have 3:37 right now, and so we will be going to 10 o'clock. Yeah, multiple reports of hail all over the place. So I am definitely getting confirmation that the Waxahachie and Ennis storms, both of these, are providing hail. Not the entire storm. You may be getting just rain. But I look at my location here. I'm off of 813 northeast of Waxahachie, and getting very heavy rain at this time. I haven't gotten anything too impressive up here, but it looks like the hail cores, we could actually have hail moving towards Ferris right now out of this storm. So that could move on the south side of Ferris, and then really in the center of Waxahachie, right in town, looks like we have that little hail core there in this little pink spot. So both of these storms are moving off to the east, and they're not moving terribly slowly either, which is a good thing. When we talk about the downpours that we've had the last several days, we don't want to have any more downpours than we really need. We could use all the rain we can get, but there are places like Corsicana and Ennis and Wortham that have had a lot of rain over the past week, and they probably could go without too much of it. Okay, so I'm reading from the National Weather Service too that the storm near Waxahachie has developed an enhanced wind threat. So we will be looking, let's take a look at the velocity view here. And yes, we could be seeing an increased wind threat here. I'm not talking rotation, I'm talking straight line winds. So if you're in this storm from Waxahachie to Palmer to Ennis and Garrett, this storm could produce an enhanced wind threat over the next few minutes. So just be prepared for that. These storms, when you hit a severe thunderstorm warning, when you get that criteria, that's winds in excess of 60 miles per hour and hail an inch or more in diameter. That's what you expect with a severe thunderstorm. That means that basically you are dealing with those criteria, one or both of those at this moment, or very well could be. Now, I'm getting questions, of course, about tornadoes, and the tornado threat today is not really that high. It is there, and we always have a chance of tornadoes with these severe storms, but this is not one of those days when we're looking at a particularly high tornado threat. So I think that we could see one or two. We've seen some minor rotation in a couple of these storms already today. Nothing impressive though, so it looks like we may be able to go without the tornadoes today. Large hail, damaging winds are going to be those primary threats across our area. So as we watch these storms, that is pretty much the primary threats, kind of the primary concerns that we have. So as you can see, let me shorten this loop here because we don't need to go all the way back to the Stone Age with these storms. But you can see how quickly they are intensifying, and then you can see how quickly they're moving eastward. So Alma, Rice getting the intensity of this storm now. There is another likely hail core developing northwest of Currens there as well. That will be moving out of Navarro County shortly. But all of these storms, any storms we see today, will be capable of producing severe weather and becoming severe very, very quickly. So that is just something to keep in mind, and I keep glancing out the window here to kind of see what I'm getting. But more and more reports are coming in, and I again, if you're sending in messages, my apologies if I don't get back to those. The weird thing about Facebook is it actually will sit there and count against me if I don't respond to something immediately, and I'm thinking, well, I'm live. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. But you know, if my response number goes from very fast to kind of fast, or whatever the wording is, please forgive me. So we're watching these storms. We have another one here in Blooming Grove. Looks like that's not entirely too intense at this time. Colin, it's not a boy, it's a very bad diet. Very bad habits is what that is. So we'll watch these storms continue to move off to the east. We could still have plenty of storms develop. We haven't had anything in Johnson or Hill counties quite yet, and Navarro County, for the most part, has been spared here. We have these storms in the northern part of the county, but there's not been much else from there. But hey, it's 3:42. I think we could be looking at storms until at least 8 or 9 o'clock. That severe thunderstorm warning does go through 10 p.m., so I do think that we could very well see more intense storms across our area throughout the day today. Something I want to bring your attention to is you can kind of see how this is bowing out here. That could be our wind threat. And if we look at, again, let's take a look at the velocity view, which tells us wind speed and direction. So where you're seeing these brighter reds, that looks to be maybe our wind threat here. So that is where we're probably looking at more of an intense wind situation here. And the National Weather Service has mentioned that there could be an enhanced wind threat. I'm not seeing damaging winds or really any wind at all where I am. So it doesn't look like that's impacting areas northeast of Waxahachie, but where you see the brighter red, we do appear to be looking at some stronger winds in that area. So just be advised that that could be part of the storm wind that moves through your area. We'll take a look at the hail cores again, and definitely a hail core persisting on the south side of Waxahachie here. Again, Lake Waxahachie being impacted by that now. And then again, a small hail core there in Ennis, but a larger one from Rice on west. So that will be moving through that area. This will be moving towards Garrett and Ennis over the next several minutes in this severe warned storm. So this is the first storms that we're seeing today, and this could be an event where we're kind of off and on. We could see these couple of storms move east, and then we could wait for more development after that, or we could just see persistent development popping up left and right. This is kind of one of those days where we kind of have to wait and see how it's going to persist, but I can tell you that any storms that pop up today could very easily be severe. We are in an environment right now which is very volatile, very unstable, and that is perfect for storms to develop. And I want to mention again, these little housekeeping things that you can go over to that YouTube stream. The YouTube stream usually is going to be better quality, so that's going to allow you to, again, put that on your TV so you get a bigger screen. that sort of thing. And then, there are some who will put the YouTube stream on the television and then they'll actually follow the Facebook chat on their phone. So however you choose to do it, visually, the YouTube stream is usually going to be better quality. So all you got to do is just go over to YouTube and search for South Metro weather there. In fact, I can actually pull that up. And let me just go ahead and pop that in here. Let me type. And of course, keep the reports coming. That definitely helps. So there's the link to the YouTube channel. Go check out the YouTube channel if you are watching on Facebook. Compare the quality. I tell you, I've had so many people tell me that they have loved the contrast. They've loved the clearer, crisper picture on on YouTube as opposed to Facebook, because when you're looking at storms like today, when I'm showing you these storms, you really would like to you really would like to enjoy the deeper detail. And yeah, Chad, that's a good point. Watching on the TV saves the phone battery. It really does. So that definitely can make a big difference. Yeah, and that's the comment that you see so often, that the YouTube, Brandy Davis saying the YouTube stream is so much better. I've seen that comment multiple times here. So we're going to take a look at velocity again and just kind of keep an eye on that, because we've been talking about this increasing wind threat. And again, it does look like we could be looking at some stronger winds in that storm. So that's going to continue to move off to the east, moving towards I-45 now. If we put this back on, it's right on 287 now. We'll be moving, again, more easterly towards the Ellis area over the next several minutes. This storm, of course, from near Blooming Grove all the way to Rice and all the way to north of Kearns there. So this storm kind of almost wrapping around Corsicana here. Not in Corsicana, but it's close to there. And something else I want to mention too is I'm on the backside of this storm and I'm still hearing thunder. One of the most common problems that folks have is they will go outside as soon as the storm is gone, thinking, hey, this isn't a big deal. As soon as they step outside, they hear thunder, and lightning can strike 30 miles outside of a storm. And so that's just a fact as it stands. And too many people, they see a storm is gone. The second it stops raining, they step outside, look up, and the storm is still there, and you're still vulnerable to that lightning. If you can hear thunder, you're close enough probably to be struck by it, so you need to be indoors. What is the saying? When thunder roars, step indoors or go indoors, something like that. So that is... yeah, that is an adage that has done great work. And of course, so is turn around, don't drown. When there's flood conditions, you don't want to play around with floodwaters for sure. So these storms continue to really be the only two that we have across our area. Now, it does look like east of Hillsborough here, we could be looking at a new cell trying to develop there. But these two have been the strongest that we've seen so far. Really the only persistent storms we've seen so far. Yeah, it looks like we could be trying to see something trying to develop here just to the east of Hillsborough. We'll see what that does. But these two storms are definitely the most intense that we have seen so far. Those continuing off to the east here. And I'm going to continue to follow these... I'm getting a lot of updates on my phone, different screens, so just be patient with me as I'm looking different places to get more information. And I do appreciate all of your comments here. Let's go back in this chat here and see what the conversation is. I know 90% of this is hail reports, as we had plenty of hail across the area. You're hearing about hearing about the YouTube stream being so much better, and that's always a relief. I always want to make sure we're putting our best foot forward, so the YouTube channel allows us to do that. It allows us to put much better quality out there. Really, you're seeing the quality that we're projecting. Facebook just really likes to compress things, and I don't appreciate it when it does that, but that's just part of it. Okay, so all right, I'm going to get that back to that screen, and nothing aside from winds and really your classic severe thunderstorm threats here. So winds in excess of 58 miles per hour, 58, 60 miles per hour, and hail the size of a quarter or more, basically an inch in diameter or greater, is what is expected from these two storms. We have heard concerns about an increasing wind threat from this storm near Waxahachie, and then plenty of reports of hail out of this storm from probably from Valley Farms on down to Rice. Yeah, I'm seeing a report of hail in Rice right now. So two very prolific hail producers at this moment, and it's not surprising that we are hearing about a lot of hail, because these storms are going to very quickly shoot straight up once they develop. And once they're able to get an updraft established, they're going to go straight up. They're going to take all that heat, rise, and become very strong hail producers. And I see a question about Red Oak there, and Red Oak is up north, Ellis County here. Nothing going on there. So Red Oak is quiet. You are included in this severe thunderstorm warning, at least partially, but nothing going on in Red Oak right now. Trust me, when I say that, no news is good news, if I'm not talking about your community, there's probably nothing going on there. So just rest assured that, hey, if I don't mention your town, it's probably not the worst thing in the world. So we'll take these storms one at a time, and you can see the heaviest part of this storm probably sitting around Rager Springs right now, but that will be moving eastward towards Ennis. And I know in Ennis right now is the what is it called? It's a blues festival. I know that. I'm blanking on the name of that. Let me go look for that, because it is blanking me. Blues on Main. There it is. Blues on Main in Ennis, going on tonight, probably going on right now. You definitely want to be finding shelter in Ennis. You don't want to be outside when this storm comes through. There is a hail core headed your way, and hail, whether it's large or small, it can be at very least uncomfortable when it's falling on a human head. So just keep that in mind as that storm continues to move towards the Ennis area. That Blues on Main, and I imagine that there's already been action taken because there's been heavy rain there. So hopefully those folks are finding shelter and are finding a way to stay safe with this storm coming. And then we've talked about this storm too, that in the Rice area, that's really going to be your best opportunity to see hail here. Again, you see this little pink core here, another one just on the northwest side of Valley Farms there, just inside the Ellis County border. So this continuing to move on to the east as well. And I know you're seeing this hook here, but we are not looking at rotation in this storm, at least not anything that has me immediately concerned. We'll take a quick gander at the velocity view, and I don't see any rotation in this storm at this time that has me immediately concerned. So I'm looking at reports of penny-sized hail 2 miles southeast of Waxahachie. So that's just a report that the National Weather Service has had come through in the last few minutes. It looks like we could be dealing with some stronger winds developing in the Rice area as well. So keep that in mind. A lot of the times when you have large hail falling, you can have winds increase as well, because you're getting energy that's coming out of the storm and that's going to hit the ground and spread out in all directions. Wind and water do the same thing. They hit the ground, they spread out, and that's where you can get some of those damaging straight line winds from these storms. So just bear in mind, as both of these storms are moving eastward, that could be a threat. So let me kind of get caught up in some of this conversation here. Yeah, just lots of reports of hail across the area. Yeah, just getting lots of reports of hail throughout these storms. Latest question is whether these storms will calm the atmosphere, whether these storms will stabilize things enough. I'm not entirely sure about that. There's enough instability out there, and we have this outflow boundary hanging around to where it's not really sure, it's not very clear to me at this point if either of these storms are going to be able to work over the atmosphere enough to keep things calm behind them. I do think we will see additional development and could, again, that development too could become severe. Hearing a report of quarter-size hail in the Saddlebrook community in Waxahachie. And then Chris, you're asking how many rounds can we expect? So we were looking at the possibility of 2 rounds of thunderstorms today. The first round was going to be this morning, and that stayed northeast of us. So this should be our second round if we were going to have 2. We didn't even have the first one. So really, this is it. This should be at least the beginning of the first and probably only round of storms. As I mentioned, this could be an off and on kind of deal. We could see this turn out to be one of these deals where, hey, it's storming and then it gets quiet and then it's storming again. So we'll keep monitoring this, and we have these 2 storms at this point, and as these move east, we could have a lull in the activity. We could see more storms develop very soon after that, or it could be a while. Time will tell. This is kind of what we're talking about when we say that we have to watch and see what these do, because we have to wait and see once these move through, is there enough energy for new storms to develop along that outflow boundary? Is that outflow boundary moving further to remove some of us from that severe weather threat? Again, time will tell. These little features here, it's just hard to tell exactly what they're doing, and it's hard to tell exactly what they're going to do. This outflow boundary could move further south, and that would put the areas north of it in a more stable atmosphere, or it could just kind of sit here and we could see more storms pop up where they already have as it acts as that focal point for development. So there will be a waiting period here to see what exactly is going to happen. We put this into motion, and there is definitely, I would say, a couple of things, and you can see how this is kind of a bow shape here. So I would not be surprised to see not only hail, but heavy winds, strong winds moving into Garrett right now, moving towards Ennis. So again, if you're at this Blues on Main event, you want to be taking shelter indoors at this time. We don't have tornadoes confirmed at this moment, but we are, again, looking at the probability at this point, not even the possibility, the probability that we're looking at hail in this storm. We've received multiple reports of it already, and that will be moving towards that area. So I was talking to someone earlier, and I know that there's a couple of places there in Ennis. I'm not going to name them so they get rushed or anything, but there are a couple of places that could be opened up and used to shelter folks as they go. So I want to make sure that we are keeping everyone safe that is involved in these outdoor events. The concert in Waxahachie that was going to be outdoor was canceled. Looks like that was already a good decision, so that equipment and things were not set up during that. I understand that's going to be an evening thing. That has been rescheduled at this point, and I think that was the right move, because again, we could see more storms pop up as the evening goes on. Or this could be it. We really don't know at this time. So I don't know if we are done after this round. I would happen to kind of doubt that. If we look across the area here, you see where this is developed. So you can kind of see where the outflow boundary is at this point. And this outflow came from storms that were to our northeast. And this outflow boundary has kind of just stalled across our area. But you can see where it is. You can see where the storms have developed. And that's where we have that focal point. Now, there's more instability south of that, but again, that outflow boundary is acting as the focal point, and right here in Ellis County is kind of where 2 things are coming together. So we have that focal point, that central spot that was perfect for storm development, and that's why we have had those storms develop here. And obviously, we were talking about the storms in Henderson County. Those were quite strong. Those developed on the east side of Navarro County here, moved eastward and intensified from there. Another report of quarter-sized hail there in the Alma area. The severe thunderstorm warning that was just there for Dallas and Kaufman has been canceled, so no more threat there. This is all for really southeastern Ellis County, northern Navarro County at this time. These 2 storms. Now, we have not seen a downstream warning for this storm in northern Navarro County yet. It may not be as strong as it was. I do want to take a couple of looks at details of the storm. Okay, I want to talk briefly about the winds moving into Rice right now. You can see this feature has kind of popped up here. This is definitely increasing winds in the Rice area. This is going to be strong straight line winds. This is not rotation that I'm seeing. I'm seeing strong straight line winds moving through Rice, moving down I-45 here. So just keep in mind, again, there are strong winds involved in that storm that are moving towards that area. So again, this is within the storm. So this is not on the leading edge or anything. You can see this is within the storm here. So between Rice and Roane and Corsicana here is some strong straight line winds advancing within this storm. If we again take a look at hail cores, so M House to Barry there is one core. West of Rice is a weaker one there, and then of course the one from Bardwell up towards Garrett, moving right towards the Ennis area. That is the hail core from that severe storm that has been severe warned, moving through there. So we will continue to monitor this, and we will wait to see if and when the National Weather Service will issue new warnings downstream for this. There's still plenty of room for this storm, but the storm in Navarro County, northern Navarro County, I'm sure this warrants a warning as well. That might need a little more space to kind of grow. So we might actually see a new warning go up for that one that would technically be a downstream warning. It's kind of what we call that. At my location, things have stopped. Things have calmed down pretty quickly once this storm moved through. So Waxahachie is clearing, not clear at this time, but clearing. You can still see plenty of lightning in this storm. So in the Waxahachie area, if it sounds like things have calmed down, give this storm time to breathe. Give it space. Let it move further east before you go outside. This storm has plenty of lightning with it, and you're within that 30-mile radius where that lightning can still reach you. And Broderick, you're asking why more storms have not developed in DFW. It's most likely, and we'll talk about this, we'll touch on this briefly again. Looks like the outflow boundary is now from between Weatherford and Fort Worth down towards Burleson, down about to Alvarado there to Grandview to Maypearl here. So this outflow boundary is kind of the focal point for storm development. The farther north you get from that outflow boundary, it's harder for storms to pop up because the air is not quite as unstable. So what's interesting is the outflow boundary looks to be south of these storms here. So if that is the case, and if this storm is actually, if they're far enough north of the outflow boundary, it looks like they're holding their own right now, but we could see them weaken generally if the outflow boundary gets far enough away and we lose that lift. But that's why we haven't quite seen storms farther north. The farther north away from the outflow boundary you get, the farther away you are from the lift that the outflow boundary provides, and the more you are included in more stable air. So that's just a quick explanation of why there's not as many storms farther north in this whole complex. Hearing a lot of reports of hail in Ennis and a report of half-dollar size hail in Waxahachie, so that report coming from the National Weather Service as well. Actually, looks like 4 miles west-southwest of Garrett. There's a couple of locations there. So between Waxahachie and Garrett really is the way it sounds at this point. And the National Weather Service putting out the word, and I want to read this tweet from the National Weather Service because it puts things well. If you are in the watch area but haven't seen storms yet, don't assume you are in the clear for today. New outflow boundaries separating the rain-cooled air from the hot and humid air may lead to additional storm development north and west of the ongoing storms. So, Brody, that kind of helps address your question. We could be looking at more outflow boundaries that cause more lift and actually cause those situations. And Broderick, you're right that the outflow boundary was expected to stall near DFW. We were waiting to see where it was going to generally kind of sit. And it is true that it is still generally moving slowly to the southwest. In fact, if we look at it now, you can see that there's a couple of things at play. The main outflow boundary has kind of stalled. You can see new ones moving through here, which is what was referenced by the National Weather Service just now, where we'll see more outflow boundaries kind of here and there, but you see this just to the northwestern meridian, new development there, further away from that. So there's more unstable air on the south side of this outflow boundary. So you can see this is mostly stationary. It's not really moving at this time. The outflow boundary did budge a little further southwest once it kind of mostly draped across Fort Worth and Dallas here. Did keep moving a little bit, but not much, but it has parked across our area. So that's what we've been watching. But Roderick, you are right that we were waiting for that outflow boundary to stall. The National Weather Service has been talking about that today. And once it did, you noticed the severe thunderstorm watch was issued. We started to see storms develop. So that was kind of what we were watching to see where this was going to happen. I mentioned yesterday that we had such a broad area that was in that enhanced risk of severe weather. That's why, because we had to wait and see where this outflow boundary was going to stall to get the best idea of where to expect storms to happen. So it is kind of stalled out here. Again, Johnson County, Hill County could easily see more storms. We're seeing more development, looks like in western Navarro County here, and I get a lot of questions about Athens and about Henderson County here, and it's generally outside of my area, but we'll talk about that a little bit here. These are the two storms we have been watching. We're now getting this hail core moving into Ennis now, so impacting Ennis, that severe thunderstorm there. So, well, I didn't want to drop that, but that's gone now. So we're watching all of this activity moving kind of to the southeast, this storm moving, getting closer to the Corsicana area. Really, it's not only moving southeast, it's kind of building southeast where you can see there. So we'll be watching this as this gets closer to the Corsicana area. We'll probably see downstream warnings for this as well. I would expect to see this storm get a new warning probably pretty soon. Here in the next several minutes. I'm sure they're looking at that right now. This storm still has some space, but as it moves towards Alma and Rice, that will be getting towards the edge of that warning as well. And we still have about another 23 minutes here of this warning. So I do expect to see downstream warnings that will be issued, at least one or two that will be issued, including our area. So really the northern half of Navarro County, I'm sure, will be included in that. Northern and probably the eastern portions of Navarro County as well. So this part of this storm, it's a little bit it's a little hard to tell exactly where this is going to keep moving, because sometimes when you have these storms, they grow bigger, grow more intense, they start to take a right turn. So we could easily see this storm move more towards Richland Chambers over the next several minutes, but we'll keep watching this storm in particular, really both of these storms that are both severe warning. Yeah, so the National Weather Service now saying that there is a new warning coming for Navarro County soon. So we will see this. Yeah, okay, there we go. So yeah, basically the really the northeastern, it's kind of a tilt here, but the northeastern third, just about, of Navarro County included in this warning that goes until 5:15. So we're almost, I would say that's about just under an hour here. 4:08 is what I have right now. So this continues for about another hour. This continues only for about another 20 minutes or so. So this will eventually be allowed to expire. Both of these storms will move into this new severe thunderstorm warning, again, including Navarro County is really the focus here. So Ennis in Ellis County, and then Corsicana, Rice in Navarro County are kind of the areas that are under the gun for these two storms right now. And as was mentioned by the National Weather Service, let me respond to this really quickly. Needed to kind of wrap my head around something real briefly. But we'll continue to monitor all of this. And again, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Sorry, let me Okay, yeah. Just trying to make sure I'm kind of getting this straight because getting plans for the kiddo lined up. It is true that I'm standing up here. I'm still a dad, so we still gotta work those things out. But these two storms becoming quite large, and now we were just talking about this outflow boundary here, and in perfect fashion, we have one storm in northern Hill County. It is too early for me to be getting these mixed up. Northern Hill County here, right around probably the Itasca area there, just south of Grandview. Y'all, I need coffee, and it's, 4:10 now, so my goodness. So the Itasca area there, one storm, and then a couple of storms in western, looking like near Blooming Grove here, in western portions of Navarro County. So again, this outflow boundary is further south now, and we are seeing some attempts at new development along that boundary. So do not assume that these two storms are it. I know they're impressive and they're really the only thing we're looking at right now, but do not assume that this is it. We have more opportunities for more storms to pop up across our area. Now, there was a question about the storm in Henderson County. It looks like that is weakening as it moves out of this severe thunderstorm warning box. So I think the Athens area is pretty much done with this storm. Could be looking at some of this moving into the Henderson County area, but really more southeasterly at this point, kind of direction on those storms. Let's go ahead and look deeper into these storms for just a moment. Look at the velocity, and definitely seeing increasing winds in both of these storms right now. So the Ennis storm, plenty of winds there, winds increasing in the Corsicana area as well. So just bear in mind that these storms, we've been talking about hail a lot, the comments have, but there's going to be an increasing wind threat with these storms as well as we keep going. So just bear in mind, report from Navarro County Emergency Management, quarter-sized hail reported northwest of Corsicana. So just outside of Corsicana, quarter-sized hail there, and that's generally your severe thunderstorm criteria. So just northwest of Corsicana, so right where we're seeing these kind of pink and purple colors here, that's where you're probably seeing the most intense hail at this time. We'll actually visualize that here, and yeah, nice large hail core just northwest of Corsicana there, and another one on the south side of Ennis. But this southern storm has definitely become our more intense storm at this time. So we get back to reflectivity, and number one, these storms are fairly large. You can see how big they are. And I would not be surprised if this storm in Ennis starts to weaken, and sometimes when you have two storms close together like this, one of them will dominate and actually take the energy away from the other one. So that's probably what we're starting to see here, and we'll wait and see if this storm can hang on just a little bit, or if that just merges or kind of weakens right into the fold of this other storm. Could have just one large storm in our area for a while. But we are seeing at least some other attempts at development, not really succeeding here. You notice these two little blips here not doing a whole lot yet. It's possible they could be too close to the other storm, but time will tell us if we have more development here. There is expected to be more development over the course of the afternoon and the evening. Again, we could be looking at activity here through 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and it's only about to be 4:15 here. So we could have another few hours of development here, or it's possible that these storms could stabilize the atmosphere here. I'm interested to see what happens in Ellis County at least, because the stationary outflow boundary that we've been talking about does appear to be south of there. So from near Burleson, north of Cleburne, through just about really kind of down 35 west here, so through Grandview, south almost to Italy, between Italy and Milford there, and then going on from there. So that's going to be your focal point. That doesn't mean that's the only place storms can develop, but that's generally your focal point. We see this storm developing in Itasca. That's right there along that outflow boundary. And then the one south of Blooming Grove is right around that outflow boundary as well. Now there's this little blip south of Waxahachie. We'll have to watch that too. And further out in Meridian, that's Bosque County, we could be looking at more development there as well. So we've had this first round, these initial storms that blew up very quickly. But it's not inconceivable that we could be looking at more development behind all of this. So if you are, number one, if you've been hit by a storm already, or you're getting hit with one right now, don't assume that's going to be it. And if you're within the severe thunderstorm watch that does conclude at 10 p.m., goes until then you could, and well, what I was going to say is if you're under the severe thunderstorm watch and you haven't seen a storm yet, don't assume you're in the clear. We have quite a while before we are out of the area of concern for this, out of the woods, so to speak. Let me get kind of back to the conversation here. No signs of tornadoes at this time. We'll go back to the velocity view here, and I'm not immediately seeing anything that has me concerned. We are seeing stronger winds here and there, but I'm not seeing any collaborative signs at this moment that have me worried about tornado development. Now, there are some stronger winds from Ellis over through Rice, over to north of Kearns there, and then looks like moving into Kearns there could be some stronger winds as well. But at this very moment, I don't see any kind of tornado risks, and generally tonight the tornado risk is low. So not expecting too much in terms of tornado activity tonight. The biggest issue, number one, is going to be the possibility of damaging winds, and then this, which is what we're looking at, hail cores. We could be looking at, we've already seen plenty of hail across our area. So that's what we've been looking at, that's what we've been seeing. So again, from Ennis south, and then just northwest of Corsicana, these are the two hail cores. Now I think this is an old radar image here. Yeah, that's a little old, so we'll have to watch. Hopefully we get an update here shortly. Sometimes it takes the radar a little longer to put out these more detailed looks inside of the storm, the more feature-oriented radar products will take a little longer because they have to take the fresh radar data, the reflectivity, and then they kind of start to dissect from there. So this is a little bit old. This is probably when we saw that report from Corsicana of that quarter-sized hail. So as this continues to move on to really the southeast at this point, we'll get more detailed looks inside of those storms to bring you more information about what's going on. But I can tell you that the hail core looks to be moving more towards the Alma area now in Ellis County, and then is more north of Corsicana at this point. Wouldn't be surprised if there's hail falling in Corsicana very shortly as that storm continues to move on to the southeast. And they just keep getting closer together, so I will not be surprised again if we're just looking at one big storm after this one may get absorbed by this storm, and they may just kind of... Now, I don't expect there to be some kind of cataclysmic collision here. That's not what I think will happen. I think we'll just see one storm kind of absorb the other, and that will really become the dominant storm in the area, and that can lend more intensity to them, because as you go, you generally will kind of take away the competition for the storm food and that unstable air. So, okay, I'm reading here that adding Eastland, Stevens, Young, and Jack and Wise counties to the severe thunderstorm watch. So that's further west and north. So discussion about where the next round of development could be farther to our northwest. And here you go. Way out there, south of Graham, that new storm developing. So that's farther away from that outflow boundary that does remain stationary at this time. And what could be interesting is, who knows if we are, and Dawn, I'll talk about an app in just a moment, but we could see more storms to the west that could move in. So we are far from done, folks. There are a number of scenarios we could look at that could very well bring us more storms tonight. Dawn, there is no app for South Metro Weather. I don't do that. There's southmetroweather.com. You can go to the website and you can put that on your home screen on your phone. And if you want to get to that, the 7-day forecast is not updated there. At this point, that 7-day forecast, I decided to forego the 7-day this morning to merely focus on today's severe weather event. You get a new 7-day tomorrow. So the website's not too up to date. We're looking at really the social media was the primary area of communication today, but there is no app for South Metro Weather. I communicate through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Those are really the three. The YouTube for the streaming is the best. Facebook and Twitter are great for those periodic updates. I am live on Facebook, but the best video quality is on YouTube. So that is where you can find all of this information. As far as a radar app, if you're looking for a weather app to use, I don't go by any of the weather apps that have a forecast on it. That's all AI driven. Mostly by IBM, the weather company, which is a subdivision of IBM, and they use an API, which is a data source, where you can get a different forecast, and I've got video of this. You can get a different forecast for the same location simultaneously. And the app actually said for the same location in Midlothian, said it was sunny and it said it was raining at the same time. Had two totally different forecasts there. There was one back in May that said it was supposed to be snowing in May on a 78-degree day. So that's why I don't like weather apps generally. That's just the way it goes. But Radar Omega is what I use. That's what I like. It is a great tool to have radar where you can track the storms across North Texas. So we'll get kind of focused in here, and these storms are not letting up. You can see this one moving out of the Ennis area now. Again, give these storms some space before you go outside and start looking at them. Give them some space to breathe, because that lightning is not something you want to play with right now. And moving into, another report another report of hail in Alma right now. Let's scroll up to that and look. Golf ball sized hail south of Rice is what I'm seeing here. And very little of this is verified. Unless you're sending me a picture of a ruler next to hailstones, I'm going to assume you're kind of generalizing your hail sizes there. Hearing power out in Ennis. I know that a lot of areas were dealing with that just recently. So just more of the same. More hail reports here in northern Navarro County. And this storm just south of Blooming Grove, that may be producing hail as well. It's a small storm, but again, once these storms develop, they rise very quickly, and they continue to tower up, and could very well cause more issues. So 2.5-inch hail reported 3 miles north of Corsicana. So that's going to be in this storm. That's going to be in this hail core here that's moving on the north side of Corsicana. Going to continue to move to the east and to the southeast there. So this moving towards Rice now. So if you're in Alma, in Rice, hail falling there now. These are prolific hail producers and could be bringing some strong winds as well. We haven't heard as many wind reports here, but we have seen on radar just estimated stronger winds in those areas. So just do not be too surprised. Okay, our emergency management in Corsicana reporting golf ball to egg-sized hail in Corsicana. You're starting to really get into damage territory here, where if you are under one of these storms, really it's kind of becoming one storm at this point, but if you're under these storms, you absolutely want to be paying very close attention to this. You want to be paying very close attention, and you want to make sure you're getting away from windows. Number one, obviously you want to be indoors. Secondly, you want to get away from windows, because if you're talking golf ball, egg-sized hail, that falling from the sky at whatever speeds it's falling, which is pretty fast usually, and it's not just free falling. Sometimes you're getting downbursts and microbursts where it's actually pushing that hail out. So hail falling at very high speeds can do quite a bit of damage to a window and can go through that window. So if you're in a shelter at this point, hopefully you are, and you're under one of these storms where the hail is falling, you want to step away from those windows, maybe get to a room without windows in it, or at least maybe a hallway, that sort of thing. I'm not as concerned about hail, causing the windows to blow out and blow around, but the hail, it could very well break through a window. So just keep that in mind. If you're in a vehicle, hail can definitely, of that size at least, can definitely go through those vehicle windows as well. So just be mindful of the fact that you have large damaging hail falling in those areas, and you could very much be looking at damaging hail and a very dangerous situation in that area. So I know that I've been getting a number of messages here at the page, and I apologize again, I'm not able to really check those. Got to stand here and chit chat, but I know that someone will be monitoring those messages as well very closely. So that will be taken care of. And I'm hearing $50 coin-sized hail in Roan area of Corsicana. So yeah, multiple different reports of what we are hearing in terms of hail sizes from this storm. I've heard everything from quarter to $50 size to egg and golf ball size. So very large hail in this storm, and let's take a quick look and visualize those hail cores really quickly. Yeah, so you can kind of see the hail cores is kind of scattered. There's two of them here in the storm in the Corsicana area moving towards Kearns very quickly. Again, with this storm, if you are under this storm, you want to be taking shelter away from windows at this point. This is not a tornado situation. This is not the kind of thing where I'm going to tell you to go underground, but get away from windows because, again, you're looking at golf ball, egg-sized hail that can get through a window if it wants to. And sometimes, again, you're not just dealing with a free fall of this hail. There are going to be times where you're looking at a downburst or a microburst that's going to be pushing this hail down out of the storm. So you think a free fall of a hailstone is fast enough, you're going to add to that velocity when you're actually pushing that outside of the storm. So just be aware that you should be avoiding that area right now. Reed Timmer headed for the Corsicana area. I'm not surprised. I'm sure the Dominators have probably gone right past my house here as they've been racing to the southeast. So the two Dominator trucks, if you've seen those out there, that is Reed Timmer, a very experienced and trained storm chaser. So he is probably heading down 45 right now towards the Corsicana area. So again, you see these little gray areas. This is the largest hail at this time. This is where hail is going to be falling. South of Blooming Grove, I would not be too surprised if we are looking at some hail there south of Blooming Grove as well. Trying to kind of get a visual on, really nothing going on in my area right now. New severe thunderstorm, let's see, 2-inch in addition, 2-inch plus hail possible and likely really within the storm. I'm just reading from the National Weather Service here. 2-inch plus hail likely and 60 to 65 mile per hour winds in that storm in Corsicana. And a question of what state we're looking here. This is Texas. This is Texas between Dallas and Waco is the area being covered by this channel here. I know we get a lot of nationwide viewers here when it comes to the YouTube channel and that kind of thing. So I know we get a lot of that, so it's okay if we have to kind of clarify that. And if somebody wants to, of course, clarify that in the comments, that's welcome too. Okay, so yeah, we're looking at more. Let me kind of get my bearings here because I'm looking at all these different reports here. Yeah, 2.5 inch hail 9 miles north of Corsicana. Measured, looks like a Twitter report there. So that's getting closer up there towards the Rice area. So the at least on reflectivity, we're looking at, this is moving towards Kearns now and could move just a little bit south of there. But in the Kearns area, we are looking at this hail core. Actually, if you look at that, it's actually pushing to the southwest there. So I would be concerned about a downburst or a microburst here. Let's look at the winds. Yeah, we're looking, if you take a look at that, you're seeing the winds all of a sudden spread out here. I would be concerned about a downburst or a microburst to the east of Rice. So that's, if you're between Corsicana and Kearns right now, you're looking at a surge of strong winds really in the Kearns area. And if we zoom in, that's Powell. So if you're in the Powell area, really along 31 here, you are going to be looking at a surge of strong winds coming from the north. Could be some hail involved in that as well. That's what I've been talking about. When you get this wind-blown hail, that can do even more damage. So if you're in the Powell area or in Kearns or in Corsicana for that matter, you want to be making sure you're staying away from windows inside of a shelter at this time. What you're looking at is not the normal rain situation, but we are definitely looking at the winds here, the strong winds that are surging southward out of this storm. You can kind of see the epicenter of that. This imagery shows you wind speed and direction. The brighter colors are showing you stronger winds. If we look at go back to the classic radar here, the classic reflectivity, you can see this. Look at this. You can see moving right into the Powell area now, where you have the stronger winds, the stronger winds that are pushing the heavier rain. Could be some hail mixed in that too. But what you're essentially seeing is these winds going straight down and spreading out. And this is one area they're spreading out. This is probably the direction that has least resistance. So this is the strongest you're going to see those winds, and the heaviest you're going to have that rain. This is kind of like the downburst, probably microburst that we saw in the Corsicana area just the other day. So just bear in mind, if you're on 31 or just south of there, even in the Mildred area, towards Corsicana, really kind of the eastern side of Corsicana here, we could be looking at a major concern here with strong winds and large hail that could be doing damage in that area. So just bear in mind, if you are really anywhere in this storm, you need to be staying away from windows. Go ahead and get into that interior room, because straight line winds can do tornado level damage if they're strong enough. And this is one of those days where storms can very quickly intensify and you don't have a lot of warning for it. We're getting new storms here in Ellis County. So a new storm near Bardwell there, moving towards the Ennis area. New storm just west of Italy. That is right there along that outflow boundary that we've been talking about. So, and then obviously this storm just north of Meridian. We've been watching that one for a little while now. But again, we're going to be looking at new storms popping up here and there. As long as this outflow boundary remains in place, we could easily see storms pop up along it and then move eastward. In this case, southeastward, as is the case with the Navarro County storm. Joy said, well, okay, that happened quickly. And that's what we've been talking about today, is this situation can get out of hand pretty fast, It doesn't take a whole lot. Again, that's what I mentioned with what we're looking in the Powell area right now, where we see, again, the very heavy rain pushing out of this downburst, this sudden push of winds, and the latest update, you can kind of see that dissipate a little bit. Probably lost a little bit of that energy as it kept going. But again, very easy to see that on radar. So it's just one of those things where we have to keep a close eye on this and watch for these little features that sometimes are hard to see, and moving right towards Elm Flat there. So this is going to be, you're starting to get in towards Eureka, Round Prairie, Rural Shade, Goodloe, Currens. We're getting into the eastern part of the county here. So Powell, towards Currens, Elm Flat, all of this area, you need to be getting away from windows at this time, because we're looking at strong winds, large hail, and a combination of the two that can do damage. So just bear in mind that getting away from windows is the best policy here. And if you can get into that interior room, it wouldn't hurt that either to take care of that. I know there's a couple of folks probably in the Elm Flat area right now that should be paying attention. And we'll take a broader look here in just a moment, but I want to stay focused on this Navarro County storm, because this is really intense. We've already had reports of golf ball to egg-sized hail, and as we're looking at, again, where we have features like this, where you have these sudden strong winds, and if you saw the outflow boundary, or, well, the microburst that moved through Corsicana just the other day. There was video on the emergency manager's Facebook or Twitter, I think it was actually, very, 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 very fast uptick in winds. I mean, it can hit you suddenly. And there was someone that was messaging me about that very storm the other day, where it just came out of nowhere. And it freaked him out, and it should. And then here, just a day or two ago, we actually saw that here at the studio as well. I actually ended a live stream saying that I wasn't seeing a lot of wind out of this storm. And as soon as it's typical, right? As soon as I did, man, it upticked fast. It happened very, very fast. Luckily, it wasn't very intense, but I mean, the clarity with which we were able to see this in the Powell area does have me concerned possibly about some damage in that area. So hopefully there wasn't too much damage from that storm, but just an example of how we can have wind damage without having a tornado. It really doesn't take a tornado. Those straight line winds can do a lot of damage because this is a broad side of winds from the same direction, 60, 65, 70, 80 miles per hour in some cases, all pushing the same direction. I mean, that's power. It's power enough when it's rotating. You put all of that in one direction, that can really do some damage, especially out in this area, out in the rural parts of town, rural parts of a county. You're going to have more barns and sheds and larger manufactured buildings, manufactured homes in some cases. Those can get very heavy damage from these storms. So I want you to understand that this storm can do damage and can be dangerous, even though we don't have any tornado reports out of it. So I will be curious to see what the severe weather damage assessments are, what the reports are, as we get through the rest of the day. I just want to take a moment. I'm going to keep this in motion here. And let's go ahead and just kind of broaden this out, because I know that there's different things going on. I want to go back in comments here. Nickel-sized hail in rise on I-45, okay? All right, so I'm just kind of keeping up with comments here and make sure that I'm not seeing reports. Really low hanging clouds. Yeah, there's going to be lower clouds with these storms, and a low cloud itself does not necessarily mean a tornado. We call those SLCs, scary looking clouds, and you can have a lot of clouds and they can be harmless. So that's just kind of one of the things that you see in the weather profession every now and then. Now back in Ellis County, we do have more storms developing. This just outside of M-House, just on the west side of there, looks like that could be developing a hail core. Heavier rain there, possibly some small hail in Bardwell now with that new storm, and then a brand new storm south of Waxahachie in the Italy, 5 Points, Foreston area here. So this could be our next larger storm. Definitely looks to be growing very quickly there. So could be another large storm developing in the Italy area here very, very soon. And what we are probably going to see, here's that outflow boundary. Looks like here's another one. This is the, I think this is the original outflow boundary. Looks like that might be getting a little bit of a push to the west, and probably because we have a new outflow boundary pushing westward. But you notice this storm developed here, a new one developing towards Itasca now. So this outflow boundary is probably going to be the source, the focal point of more development as we go. They'll pop up along the boundary and then move eastward. The other concern I have is flooding. The Corsicana area is getting plenty of rain, and this is a large storm. It's going to take a while for the Corsicana to actually clear out. Parts of Corsicana, especially parts of Kearns, north of Kearns there, had plenty of rain over the past week, and this is just giving more. So if you're concerned about flooding under one of these storms, you probably want to safely take precautions. If you're under the storm, not a whole lot you can do, right? But just keep in mind that if you're in an area that got a lot of rain recently, again, I mentioned Wortham, I mentioned the east side of Ennis. If you're concerned about that and it's safe to do so, definitely jump outside, take those precautions, do whatever you need to do, because more rain is definitely possible today. I would say, dare I say, it's likely in some places today. And when you do get rain, you get a lot of it very fast. So flooding can be a problem with these storms. But the main concern we've been looking at, again, is the large hail and the damaging winds. We've talked about these features that we've seen on radar already that indicate to us that in addition to the solid reports we've gotten of golf ball and egg-sized hail, that's large hail, y'all, we have these strong winds that are persisting across that area as well. So just bear all of that in mind as we continue on. And I will say too, and this is just a shameless plug for a sponsor and a friend. I will tell you, if you're, and I'm gonna plug these folks. Andrea Walton is a great insurance contact here in Ellis County, really for the South Metro area. If you are concerned about that and need to look into those things. When it comes to roofing, Synergy Roofing has you covered there. I mean, Synergy Roofing is they get on your roof, and it's a free inspection. Okay, you don't pressure yourself to get up on the roof and look for hail damage. If you think you've got hail damage, let the pros do it. There are injuries every year of people getting up on their roof trying to look for hail damage, and then there you go. So they will do that for free. Allow them to do that. And then flooding at times, this amount of rain can cause plumbing issues. The Bahama Plumbing is a contact of ours. And then of course Jimmy Porch is there. If you're sick and tired of storms in North Texas and you want to move, Jimmy Porch can probably help you with that. That's the most extreme option, right? But you'd be surprised at how many folks just finally say, I have had it, and they get out of here. So just a few folks, and I know that there's been not really much mention of Choice Construction, but Choice Construction is up there. We're waiting for another logo that'll better promote them. But hey, Choice Construction, if you have further damage from this or whatever the case might be, you need some remodeling, that kind of thing done, they can be a good contact for you on that as well. But I'm getting messages from our Synergy Roofing partners that are saying that they are already looking into this, already getting phone calls, and man, they are going to be necessary. But again, it's just not safe for you to get out on your roof if you're just not. I'm not a roof climbing guy. I don't personally like to. Now I'll promote them doing it. But I am not a heights kind of. I'm generally not afraid of heights. But when I'm not tied to something or I'm not in something safe, I would just as soon just not do it. Right, just not have to worry about it. And Synergy Roofing can get out there and take care of that for you. So really we're looking at, one, I want to pay attention to this. So as we're getting into, and somebody mentioned Eureka too, as we're getting towards the Eureka area, Round Prairie Rural Shade here, that's where we're looking at probably one of these hail cores at this time. We go a little further north, again, the Powell area, Currens, we're looking at more hail probably back behind here. I would say the wind threat is probably in the Eureka area right now. There's probably some winds associated with this heavier precipitation. And then back towards Rice, moving through here, and you've got kind of this empty spot right around Roan, but moving towards Roan and then towards Powell and Corsicana, Currens here, is going to be not only this area of heavier precipitation, could be stronger winds there as well. That'll move through, and then there's one more behind you. In the Corsicana area, we're seeing more large hail possible. So this is one of those storms where unfortunately you can get multiple waves of these strong winds, and that's why I'm saying you would get away from those windows, because if your windows weren't weakened by one wave, you can have multiple waves here. We kind of have three waves almost of heavier activity in this storm. So just bear in mind too, and there's plenty of lightning as well, but get away from those windows when you can. If you're stuck next to a window for some reason, then that's one thing, but get away from those windows whenever possible, and then that will allow you to keep safe. And south of Ennis here, just outside of Bardwell, could be looking at some hail there, and I'm just now seeing a report of hail in the Italy area. So hail falling near Italy right now, and then back to the west of there, another storm popping up along that outflow boundary that we've been talking about. So we kind of had this train of storms. Obviously, the Corsicana area is the strongest storm right now. Severe thunderstorm warning continues, I believe, until, is it 5:15 that we were looking at there? Let me double check that. Yeah, about 5:15 for that severe thunderstorm warning. So that's how long that goes on. These storms are not severe warned yet. I say yet, they could easily be. If we're already getting hail in the Italy area, I imagine that's only going to grow as that updraft strengthens and that storm continues to get taller. And then again, to the west, another storm popped up, not as extreme and not as strong. And someone asking, are we done in Ennis for tonight? You may be, you may not be. We're looking at a situation where we, again, have this outflow boundary that is, for the most part, stalled out. Looks like we're seeing some movement with it, but it's mostly stalled out at this time. So that's going to continue to produce storms. They pop up and they move eastward. So it's conceivable that we could see more storms popping up. We've got storms out in Stevens and Palo Pinto County, way out there on the other side of Fort Worth, that are developing as well. So I'm talking, we're looking at this severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. I think that's our cutoff at that point. I think 10 p.m. is kind of in line with what I've been seeing model-wise, and that's just the expectation that I've been building. I think by 10 o'clock we're done. It's 4:45 right now. Plenty of time still for these storms to keep developing at this point. I mean, there's one just outside of Meridian and Morgan right now, northern Bosque County. So that's going to be moving towards Whitney and eventually Hillsborough. That storm could strengthen. So we're in an environment where any of these storms could develop, and we've got one close to Abbott here that's probably just popping up now. So more and more activity here, and some of this is just feeding into, you see that if we put this into motion, you can see some of these storms are just feeding into the Navarro County storm here. Now we need to take a look at the velocity and see what's going on here, because we saw that hook looking shape here, but I'm not seeing any kind of rotation immediately at this time. We're definitely seeing some mixing winds within the storm, but as I mentioned, I think that's kind of, well, if I can get the velocity view back here, I think this is what we're seeing, where we kind of see these waves of these stronger winds. So I think that's really what we're looking at here. You see one wave here, one wave in Mildred, one wave moving into Corsicana, and when you put that with the velocity, again, you can see these waves of heavier precipitation. So I think that's just stronger winds as the storms are moving through. So I think that's kind of what we're watching at this time. Not necessarily rotation, definitely more straight line winds are what I'm concerned about. Had hail in Ennis for 20 to 30 minutes. It just didn't stop. These are large storms, and they take a little while to displace, so it doesn't surprise me that we're seeing longer periods of hail. Again, Synergy Roofing is going to be your friend here, because you do not want to be climbing on that roof tomorrow. Not only is it going to be hot up there, it's not as easy as it sounds, right? You want a trained professional climbing up on that roof. They're going to know what to look for. So this is really less of an advertisement and more of just a safety thing here. Allow Synergy Roofing to do those free inspections to keep you off of that roof. Don't go out there by yourself. Husbands, we tend to just DIY everything, right? We just want to do it ourselves. Our wives are telling us not to. We do it anyway, right? We just do it anyway. And then something happens and we find out that we're wrong. Well, Synergy Roofing will do it for free. You don't have to pay for it. They will take care of that for you. Yeah, so a lot of reports of hail in Italy right now. And that is a quickly intensifying storm. We can see there's that bullseye. Southern Ellis County, new severe thunderstorm warning coming out. So this will be our next severe warned storm in the Italy area right now. Let me send a message here and send a message over, and we'll see that new severe thunderstorm warning come up very quickly. This is till 5:45. We'll see that polygon come up here in the next few moments, but that's for about another hour here. So this storm will be with us for a while. Here's that new polygon that just popped up, that yellow overlay there. So this is that storm, and $half sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds for this storm in Italy. So again, another very strong storm. And that popped up off of that outflow boundary and moved eastward. That's what we're watching happen today. And Jared, they are popping up fast and furious. You're exactly right. So pretty soon these storms are going to start talking about family over and over again. But these storms continue to move on to the east. The storm in Corsicana, the heaviest part of the storm is moving into the southeastern part of the state, okay, of the county here, from south of Kearns onto Eureka right now, moving more towards Round Prairie and rural shade. So that's what we're watching here. This continuing to move east and southeast here. And yeah, getting pictures of hail falling, plenty of hail falling in the Italy area now. So that is why that warning has been issued. So there are two severe thunderstorm warnings. Let me kind of get a bigger let me kind of get a broader view just generally. There's really three storms we're dealing with at this point. There's this very large storm, severe thunderstorm warning in effect there until 5:15, so about another half hour, about another 25 minutes there. And then this storm back towards Rice, you can see that's starting to darken, getting some darker colors, probably some hail in that area. South of Ennis, Alma, Rice area. And then back to Italy, this new severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 5:45, so about another 55 minutes here in the Italy area right now. So those are the storms we're looking at, and this is all kind of a small area. If we look at the whole area here, obviously back on the other side of Fort Worth, way west of Fort Worth out there, you can see that there's one storm. Back towards Stephenville here, on the other side of Stephenville, there's some development going on. That is being watched. Bosque County, there's some moving. Really, it kind of starts in Hill County and then intensifies as it gets eastward. But towards Whitney and then towards Abbott there, towards Hubbard and Dawson, we have these little pop-ups. And then the heavier storms from Italy again towards Rice and then in the Kearns area right now. So that's what we see at this time. And I mention this a lot, but if you want to watch just radar, you don't want me standing in the way, you want me to get out of the way and just see the whole area and just have radar, you can go to the YouTube channel. There's a live radar stream. It's radar only. There's no audio. You don't have to listen to me drone on. You don't have to watch me bounce around, zoom in and out. It's just radar of the entire area. So that's going to allow you to just get a full view of the entire area there. I know some people have that on one screen and me on the other, so they can kind of get a full big picture and then watch me go more into detail here as well. So that option is there for you. And I've received a few Cash App and Venmo donations here. I definitely appreciate that. You know, that's how this stays free, is the advertising and then your generous support. So that's how I'm able to do this full time. Feed my family, take care of those obligations, monitor the weather 24/7 for the most part, and then be able to bring you live coverage day or night, anytime, without having to go work somewhere. So, and I'll probably post that again here for you. Again, I know that people are always asking me, how can we help you? How can we support you? I don't know how many people are asking me, how in the world are you staying alive? Doing weather all the time. It's a decent question. Not a question I'm going to fault you for asking for sure, but that's how. It's your support. It's advertising. If you're interested in advertising, definitely let me know there. Let me just make an adjustment. Let me ask a question of somebody here, somebody that's out there actually. While I've got this keyboard here, and you can send stars on Facebook as well. I always forget that's there. I think a lot of people forget that's there. Let me put this here too. But that is how you can support me, support the organization, support the channel. Again, that's how it keeps it free. I don't have to charge you anything for this, and I don't want to charge anyone ever for any of this, because this is important information. We were just talking about in this storm, this is moving into the Eureka area now. You can see this surging southward. We're talking about these strong winds, these straight line winds, and this storm has a history of producing golf ball to egg sized hail. We're not playing, folks. This is large hail we're talking about. You put these strong winds behind it, and that can do damage, which is why I've been telling you, if you're in this storm from Corsicana to Kearns down to Eureka, down almost to Winkler there, really in Winkler, not almost, but in the Winkler area, you want to stay covered. You want to stay sheltered. You want to get away from windows, get away from those exterior walls, those kind of things. If you're in a manufactured building, manufactured home, get out, go somewhere safe. If you're in the storm, it's probably not safe to get out at this point. But I just want to keep mentioning to you that it is a good idea to find a steady, sheltered place to be away from windows as the storm is going on. So hearing reports of hail in the Avalon area. So let's go back to Ellis County. And so you can see this is kind of moving right along 34 here. So just left the Italy area, hail starting up in the Avalon area. That will increase in size. If you're in Avalon right now, get away from windows. Get away from those exterior walls, away from those windows. Hail sizes are likely to increase, and we've had situations plenty today where hail has combined with strong winds. That can cause damage. So just please make sure that you are getting away from windows when you can avoid them. If you're in a vehicle, get inside of a shelter, inside of a building, a legitimate building, to ride out these storms, because again, this is not safe to be dealing with windows that can break. That is just not something you want to play around with. Just to let you know, Italy, we could see another area of small hail move through. This doesn't look like a very big hail core, but with the way these storms have been acting, really any kind of dark shade on here is pretty much guaranteeing to me at least some small hail is possible there. So just keep that in mind as all of this continues to move on to the east. And then here we have this little tail, and you see how this is kind of tightening here. So moving towards the frost area, towards frost and lone oak, lone cedar, you're seeing this little bow shape. Looks like we could be looking at some winds increasing just outside of Italy. So that's going to continue on to really the southeast at this point, is the direction it wants to go. So it may pass frost to the northeast, but looks like towards, again, lone cedar, lone oak, blooming grove. If you're in those areas, get away from windows, get away from those exterior walls, get into a safe place, because strong winds could be moving your way as a part of that storm. And I want to just take a broad look. Again, here's that big storm we've been dealing with that's been in Corsicana in Navarro County for a while. Here's this latest storm that became severe warning just a few minutes ago. Again, this first severe thunderstorm warning goes until 5:15, so about another 20 minutes here. That will be slowly but surely making its way out of the county. This new storm moving out of the Italy area, moving towards northern Navarro County here, that will be moving eastward and continue on. And then we have more storms in the Dawson and Hubbard and Abbott and Hillsborough and Whitney areas. Just more spotted storms popping up along that outflow boundary that we've been talking about and moving eastward and southeastward. So we will continue to monitor all of this, and I'm prepared to be on the air as long as it takes here, because we've got probably a long night going on here this evening. And I'm getting a couple of questions about Henderson County, not normally the area I would cover, but this strong storm does appear to be making its way towards that area now, towards Henderson County, so just keep that in mind, that you are getting clipped by this strong storm. I think most of this is going to move down to the southeast, so I'm less concerned about that, again, towards Palestine and Fairfield here. That will be the path of this stronger storm. And then there's the new downstream warning, so that will continue on in Anderson and Freestone counties. So that's what you're going to be watching there. And then a flood advisory, here's what I was talking about. A flood advisory has been issued for Navarro County. That's fresh out now. So a flood advisory now for Navarro County, and really anywhere within this storm, you want to be taking shelter, or taking precautions rather, for those flooding situations. So if you're on one of the lakes and you have a problem with flooding there, take those precautions, pay very close attention. If you are really anywhere and you have those flood concerns, take care of those flood concerns now, because there is a flood advisory that has been issued for Navarro County. It's mostly really going to be eastern Navarro County at this point, but there are storms in other areas. So definitely keep that in mind. And I just want to make sure I say this. Thank you again for, I'm getting more of the Venmo and the Cash App and things coming in, so I appreciate that. This storm in southern Hill County could become severe very quickly. Right around Penelope, going to be moving towards the Hubbard area. That could become severe, could already have some small hail with that as well. So I want to make sure that that is mentioned. And then the storm east of Italy here, a couple of things to talk about. And let's actually look at this on the velocity view. Yeah, you can see these stronger winds east of Italy moving towards the Blooming Grove area, towards, I think it was Lone Oak and Lone Cedar here. So that will continue to move on to the southeast. And you could see that little bow shape affiliated with that. That's kind of your your dead giveaway that these storms are bringing strong winds as they progress. So just bear in mind that we have plenty of hail out there, but winds will be concerns as well. Definitely a very large hail core there, no question about that, on the east side of Italy and in the Avalon area too. And then south of, well, really east of Eureka, better is a better way to put that, that other hail core there at this time. A question about, and by the way, Eureka, thunderstorm gusts of 67 miles per hour in the Eureka area. So that's that part of the storm. We've been talking about those stronger winds. So we're looking at upwards of 65 to 70 mile per hour winds averaging there in that storm. At least with the gusts, at least. That was a wind gust, not sustained. But that was a wind gust that was reported there. And again, another hail core there in the Penelope area. So that storm is hailing. That's what I was mentioning just a few minutes ago. So that could become severe very quickly. Obviously, this storm is already severe. A couple of hail cores there. Again, Italy getting hit one more time with some hail there, as this other storm is kind of caught up and kind of fused with this one. So there's a lot of activity out here, and not all of these storms are severe. But could they become severe? Absolutely. Very quickly they can. And that's what kind of happened with that Italy storm. A report of 1 inch hail, 1 inch in diameter hail in the Italy area. So that is the basically the baseline of your severe thunderstorm criteria. So that's what we're seeing there in that area too. And yeah, so Derek, I'm not sure where you are, but you're saying the hail is getting bigger and bigger. Not sure where you're located. If you would put a location there, that would be great. I'm expecting a severe thunderstorm warning probably for this storm in southern Hill County, as that continues to intensify as well. Put this into motion, you can see again how quickly all of this activity develops. Very, very quickly there. Okay, yeah, hearing more hail in Italy. The folks in Italy, I think, are getting a little tired of the hail at this point. And man, oh man, that storm continues to grow there as well. So as the storm that is in Navarro County begins to move out, we again have that other wave of heavy precipitation that just moved through Corsicana, and this new storm that just moved through Italy. Italy getting hit with more hail here. So again, I mentioned Synergy Roofing. You know, you do not want to get up on your roof tomorrow by yourself and look around when somebody's going to do that for free. Synergy Roofing will do that for free for you. And trust me, you're looking at golf ball, you know, egg-sized hail. That is sufficient to do damage. So if you're getting hail right now, you want to get away from windows. And I know that you may think, hey, these are great windows. Why would they do any damage? Those hailstones, really two things. One hailstone, when it's at a free fall, is fast enough. You could be getting downward moving air, that downdraft, where it's pushing the hail out of the storm. So, and really, the other thing too is that the only way that hail falls through the storm is when it's heavy enough, or you get a strong enough force to beat the updraft that's carrying the rain up there up to the freezing level of the storm to freeze in the first place. So it stands to reason that hail is quite dangerous. So you want to be under cover for sure, at least in a structure, but you want to be away from windows when that hail is falling, when it's larger hail like that. So just bear in mind, if you're getting larger hail, if it's larger than those little peas, you want to be trying to at least get away from those windows. If you can take shelter in an interior room, that's great. That's fantastic. That's going to allow you to stay safe from those damaging winds as well. Yeah, so just more reports of hail in Italy and Avalon right now. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with this storm in southern Hill County. I think that could be severe pretty soon as well. It looks to be showing some pretty similar attributes at this time. And this again, the severe thunderstorm watch goes until 10 o'clock. We just hit 5 o'clock here just a few minutes ago. So we could have another 5 hours of this. I mean, we've been on air for, let's see, how long we've been on air? About an hour and a half here. So not terribly long. I mean, it hadn't been that long. So just about an hour and a half, we could be spending a lot of time together here. So Eventually, I'll have to eat something, dinner later, and that kind of thing. I'll try not to eat on the stream. That's something I haven't done before, I don't think. At least not since we did this model. When I was sitting at the desk, it was a little easier to get away with that. But I'm probably not going to be eating at this point. Now, whether or not I step off screen and you hear some crunching, it might be something else. But I will tell you that I'm going to try to eat something eventually, but probably not actually do that on the stream there. We'll find a way to do that a little more tastefully. No pun intended. So yeah, and more hail in the Italy area. Where's the kitty? He's outside, I think, actually. He's probably walking home at this point. In fact, let me see if I can see where he is. He's probably, let me grab something here too. I need to kind of get recalibrated here. Yeah, Tiger is probably sulking outside right now because he didn't get home before the rain started. That would be my guess. I see one kitty outside is eating right now, so the Tiger's probably waiting for his moment in line at the food bowl. So I think that's what. Yeah, weather kitty never learns. He really doesn't. He goes outside during when storms are coming all the time. I try to tell him, but he doesn't listen. But, it happens. So we've got one storm near Hubbard and Dawson here. This storm in Italy and Avalon there, that's the one that we've been hearing so much about hail. The storm near Hubbard is hailing as well. I'm not... Okay, yeah. So, warning coming out in Southern Hill County. That'll be Southern Hill County, Southern Navarro County for golf ball-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Golf ball-sized hail. Again, away from windows. If you're in this storm in Southern Hill County, southwestern Navarro County, Hubbard, Dawson, that area, if you're in that storm or it's moving your way, get away from those windows. Get away from those windows as quickly as you can, because this is not going to be a safe situation. It is really just not. So you want to make sure that you are staying as safe as possible in those areas. So just keep that in mind. Absolutely, as we go through the next, several minutes as that storm is moving through. And I want to check a few sources here. Okay, so yeah, just more hail reports is what I'm seeing here. And the storm in, you're asking if the storm in Italy is almost done. It looks to be, although some of the issue in Italy has been, and this kind of has me worried about flooding as well, that outflow boundary, and you see it moving more southeasterly there, but I mean, that's what's been producing the storm. So it's just kind of been building behind there because there's been more energy to create that. But the outflow boundary looks to be moving a little further away now. So it does look like Italy could be clearing out here pretty soon. Again, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, you want to make sure that these storms, you give them some space, give them the space and time to move away for a while before you're going outside looking around, because lightning can strike several miles outside of a storm. So here we have the new severe thunderstorm warning for Southern Hill County and southwestern Navarro County here. That goes until... until 6 p.m. So about 20 minutes until, 50 minutes before that warning is expired there. Okay, is this going to be the last storms for tonight? It very well may not be. If we take another look, there's just more storms out there, and this is our outflow boundary. It's been mostly steady at this point, mostly stationary, but you can see that all of these storms have kind of pushed it a little bit to the east. I'll be interested to see if the outflow boundary, the existing one, stays and maybe this one surges ahead, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when the outflow boundary hits that storm. So, but again, any of this activity can still develop and become intense, and then down from Comanche to Hamilton, more development out there. So we may be doing this for a while. We might be spending a lot of time together tonight on this live stream. A couple of housekeeping things I want to mention. Yes, there's the Venmo and Cash App, all that kind of stuff. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on the Facebook page, go over to the YouTube channel, give the YouTube channel a chance. Number one, you're going to be able to put that on your TV a lot easier. Number two, you're going to be able to get a better picture. You get better quality from the YouTube stream. Facebook, they compress everything. It's just not as good a stream there. Hubbard and Dawson here. Looks to me like we are looking at, again, this storm coming in. This is a freshly warned storm. So this goes until 6 p.m. That's severe thunderstorm warning. Warned for golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. That is a dangerous combination. If you are in range of this storm, if you are in the storm's path, please make sure you're getting away from those windows. You want to make sure that you're getting away from windows that could be destroyed by this. So just pay very close attention to that storm. It's very easy for that to happen. For winds and rain, winds and hail to get together and cause more and more problems. So yeah. So and Kelsey, I think you're over in Ellis County, further north Ellis County. And so far right now, Waxahachie had that storm come through a few minutes ago, a while ago, about an hour ago or so. And that has since moved. That was that large storm that's now moved to the southeast of Corsicana. And hasn't been much there since. So I'm guessing we may have more stable air from Cleburne to Waxahachie. Really from there north appears to be more stable air. Now further to the northwest, on the other side of the outflow boundary, there's some development there. But where the outflow boundary has come through, it does look like things are calmer there right now. I don't want to use the Q word, but things are more calm there for now. This is all really about from Ennis to Italy, south and east right now. And you can see that is where all that convection is at this time. So we'll talk about the three storms we have going on. We still have the storm southeast of Corsicana, this severe thunderstorm warning that I believe goes until 5:30. Let me just double check that here. Yeah, well, so that goes until 5:15. So that's getting ready to expire. And then back to the west, we have this other severe storm that is moving out of the Italy area, now moving into Avalon, going to be moving, again, east and south towards the Rice area, towards Corsicana eventually. And then we have this newly warned storm, the newest storm we have, just northwest of Hubbard, moving towards the Dawson area. That is a severe warned storm as well. That warning goes until 6 o'clock. So that's kind of where we're at. And looking across the area, again, from Whitney up to Blum, new development there. We'll have to watch and see if that's going to become severe. And then south of Hillsboro, some more development there between Hillsboro and west, impacting the Abbott area there. We'll have to watch and see if that will continue on eastward too. And, so here's Hillsboro down towards west, just a little development there. And then from, again, just west of Whitney up to Blum, up through Huron, up through Blum, is more development there. So there's still plenty to go. And I put this into motion. You can see that all of this continues to pop up and move eastward. So there's an aerial flood advisory, really just a flood advisory for Navarro County that should be taken very seriously because you look at how much heavy rain is getting dumped there. Just about every storm we've had has moved into Navarro County. So Navarro County is just getting completely dumped on with rain at this point, and flooding will continue to be a concern there. So I'm interested to see what this outflow does to this storm that's moving through the Blum area right now. We'll see what that ends up doing. I am seeing the sun coming out in Waxahachie right now. Now, where the sun's coming out, if the ground is stable enough, that may not mean anything. But where you're getting sunlight, you're reheating the ground, and that can lead to further convection. That can lead to more storm development. So could very well be looking at that, again, exacerbating things further, just making things worse. So very possible that we could be looking at an increasingly dangerous situation there. I'm going to grab something ever so briefly here. Let me see if we can, let me check a couple of sources of information here. I just want to reach out to some folks here. Okay. All right. So it looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for eastern Navarro County. So that's going to take place of the one that's expiring really now. So that will be until 6 o'clock. So Navarro County largely is just about pretty much covered in severe thunderstorm warnings until 6 p.m. Now this one that goes from Italy on eastward, that goes until 5:45. So this warning in northern Navarro County until 5:45, and then both of these until 6. So really until 6 o'clock, Navarro County is covered in severe thunderstorm warnings. And Navarro County is really the epicenter of all of this right now. So we don't have any tornadoes here. No tornado warnings or watches or anything like that. We have a severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 10 p.m. That's a while from now, so we may be doing this for quite some time. I may be getting a stool to sit on here before too long, but you know, we keep ticking here, and you know, we will continue to monitor all of this for you. We've been talking about golf ball to egg-sized hail in the past in Corsicana. That combined with these downburst, microburst winds can do damage, which is why I'm telling you, if you are under one of these hailing storms, you want to get away from windows. You want to get away from those, let me close this, it's throwing off my lighting here, but you want to get away from windows and from those exterior walls, especially if you're in a manufactured home, manufactured building, storage shed, whatever the case is, shop, whatever the case is. You want to try to avoid those exterior access points where those hailstones can come through. Wind just got still south of Kearns. So yeah, south of Kearns, I think you're kind of in a little bit of a break there as far as the winds. But have no fear, there is more wind to come. Stronger winds probably around the Roan area moving towards Powell and Kearns here in the next few minutes. So if things get calm all of a sudden, I'm trying to avoid that Q word, but things get calm all of a sudden, give it a few minutes. Odds are it will intensify once again. So thank you to my wonderful wife for bringing some more water, because boy, do I need that. My voice is already getting dry here. Give me a moment to read what the National Weather Service is saying here. Put that over here. My apologies if that was very loud. That's a loud cup there for some reason. I'll mute that next time. But National Weather Service talking about Freestone, Anderson County at this point. Not anything in our particular area. Sounds like they're talking about a hook there. And again, we haven't really seen much in terms of rotation at this point. Really more of just the hail and wind threats for the most part here. Okay, let me kind of recenter what we're looking at here. So in Ennis and Waxahachie, I know there was an outdoor event planned in Waxahachie. There's an outdoor event I think ongoing in Ennis right now, unless that's been canceled. And those areas you may not necessarily be done. There's still a threat of severe weather for that area. Again, that watch, that severe thunderstorm watch, does go until 10 o'clock. So if you haven't seen anything yet within that watch, give it a minute, give it a few hours, and we'll wait and see if things happen there. And if you got storms and it's quiet now, don't assume that you're done for the night, because you may very well not be. It seems like everything is emptying out in Navarro County, which is why Navarro County not only has severe thunderstorm warnings basically covering the entire county here, but you also have the flood advisory that we talked about earlier that has been issued there as well. So if you're a flood-prone area and you have those concerns, you may need to take precautions safely in those areas. And then severe thunderstorm warnings, 2 severe thunderstorm warnings on the east and central side, and on the southwest side until 6 o'clock, and then 1 until 5:30 from Gloomy Grove to Corsicana up to Rice for this storm here. And that's about 10 minutes from now. So I would expect you'll probably get a new warning to fill in this area here for that storm, the one that just moved out of Italy and Avalon out of that area, moving towards Frost now, Blooming Grove area. So that is kind of what we're looking at in those particular areas. That's going to be moving towards, it's in the Rankin-Bird area now, moving towards M House is where some of that hail will be moving now. So let me get back in the chat here, some of this discussion. Raining and very windy in Yazoo City. Now, do we have a Yazoo City in one of these 4 counties? Because I think Yazoo City was in Mississippi. Maybe somebody can correct me there, but let me check this out. Yeah, pretty sure Yazoo City. I don't think there's Yazoo City, Texas. So just to let you know, I think it's Sonia. If you're listening from Mississippi, this is not covering Mississippi. This is Texas between Dallas and Waco is our coverage area. So that's where we're broadcasting from right now. So not that we don't love Mississippi, but yeah, we're not covering that area at least. Getting a report, it's coming down again in Alma. So yeah, that's kind of the backside of that storm. So Alma shouldn't be getting anything too terribly intense over the next several minutes. Does look like that outflow boundary is meeting this storm now just to the west of Itasca, moving towards that area, going to intensify there. So that could be another hail maker for the Italy area. So we will watch this. It looks like it's moving towards Itasca now. We'll see if that's going to intensify and move towards the Italy area. But Italy, you could have yet another hailstorm coming your way. And I'm sure you're probably tired of that right now, but that's just what we're looking at in terms of what's coming down the pipe, moving through that area. So that's Northern Hill County here is what we're looking at. So between Itasca and Blum there, just impacting that outflow boundary and intensifying there. So we'll see what happens when it gets on the other side, if that somehow weakens it or whatever the case may be there. So what we can do is, and I'm curious about this, if you will put in the comment section, and we'll do some of this housekeeping too. If you're in the comment section, go ahead and put where you're watching from. That way we can get an idea of kind of where all you folks are watching from at this moment. And then also, as I mentioned multiple times, three things. One is I do appreciate the different donations that have come in, whether it's the Facebook stars, whether it's the Cash App or the Venmo or those kind of things, all those links that are out there. I definitely appreciate that. And then I haven't said this yet, but obviously, like the stream, share the stream, comment, all those kind of things. Do that too. That, of course, helps with the algorithm and all that good stuff. And then I would say, again, if you're watching on Facebook, go check out the YouTube channel. Go check out the YouTube stream. I've been told multiple times that the quality is much, much better there. So definitely go check out the YouTube stream there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can get notifications that way as well. So make sure to do that. And that is that's going to be your best bet, because you can put that on your TV. You can't put the Facebook stream on your TV. They've taken that away. But you can put the YouTube stream on your TV, get a better, more crisp look at the picture and that kind of thing. More crisp look at my ugly face, but you're looking at the radar really most of the time anyway. So, but Navarro County just getting the lion's share of all of this right now. It does look like we're looking at a weakening cycle for at least a couple of these storms. The storm to the north of Blooming Grove here that moved through Italy, it doesn't look like that storm is intensifying. It looks like it's almost weakening at this point. And the same for the storm moving into the Dawson area. I don't see the hail core that we saw just a moment ago. What we could be seeing is, number one, the storm to the southwest continues to dominate, or southeast rather, but these storms towards the back, they're kind of getting cut off from some of that inflow. But additionally, there's more competition. When you have more storms competing for the instability, the warm air, the humidity that feeds these storms, sometimes it's harder for them to maintain their strength. So it does look like they're weakening a little bit. Let's go back to the west a little bit. And we definitely see a strengthening storm off to the west of Itasca. So I would say this is moving eastward. This might be our strongest storm at this point, our kind of our rising star at this moment. And again, that's going to be moving right towards Milford and Italy, maybe even moving south of Italy at that point. So somebody just commented that they're from Milford and they haven't had anything yet, but it's not too far off. It looks like Milford will get their share, maybe with this next storm that will be moving through. So we'll get a chance to take a look at that over the next few minutes. I'm going to take a quick sip of water here and mute that so you don't have to listen. That very loud water bottle that I have. This storm is not warned at this time, but it probably won't take very long before it is. I would say this storm is probably going to have a warning in it within the next 5 to 10 minutes. The National Weather Service has been pretty good at staying on top of these, but that storm is very quickly intensifying, and unless somehow it loses intensity going through the outflow boundary, which I don't really expect, if anything, looks like that could actually gain it some strength out there. We'll wait and see what that's going to do. But this little old storm, that could bring some more hail to southern Ellis County, where they've had plenty already. Rain is past Snoke Valley. It sounds like you're about to get another round. So yeah, there's the same areas pretty much. Waxahachie's only had one round of storms at this point, and that's been kind of the exception. You go south of Waxahachie, and everybody's pretty much gotten multiple rounds here. But as I mentioned, across Dawson, Blooming Grove to Rice here, these storms, they at least don't appear to be getting stronger. And it looks like some of them could actually be getting a little bit weaker. So we could see some of these losing some of that intensity. We're kind of over the hump in terms of daytime heating here. So from here on out, temperatures start to drop, and especially, of course, across Navarro County, where we're already looking at temperatures that have dropped from just a rain-cooled air. And I'm getting a... okay, and I'm looking... Lisa Rios, you're saying that you're giving a report. Try to give your location so we know what you're talking about. But Midlothian, is Midlothian clear for the night is the question. And at this point, we don't know. The severe thunderstorm watch continues until 10 p.m. So we've got between now and then for more storms to pop up. As we look towards Midlothian right now, a outflow boundary just moved through there. Just moving northwesterly there, and nothing new has developed yet. I'm not counting out the fact that we could have a few storms that pop up back farther. In fact, there goes one now, just to the west of Arlington here, western side of Arlington, probably towards the Pantego area. That is a new storm that's popped up there, and that may not do much, but you have this outflow boundary racing towards it. That could energize it, so give it some more lift. So we'll see what that does. Not much intensity in these storms. Probably the most intense is south of Ennis here, right on the county line, and maybe a little bit of hail just in the northern part of that storm, just more north of Malone there. But really the strongest storm at this point moving right into Itasca there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And ooh, grilling sounds good. Ryan, what are you going to grill tonight? Let's whet my appetite a little bit, and let us know what you're grilling. That sounds like an interesting topic of conversation since I've been talking about outflow boundaries and hail and damaging winds all this time. But this is moving right into Itasca now. It could be moving, probably moving towards Italy over the next several minutes. This is a quickly intensifying storm. It's a small one. It's not the large storm we had in Navarro County just a short time ago, but that's going to continue to move on to the east, and that could intensify. So we could have a severe thunderstorm warning on that very soon as well. It's not warned at this time, but could very well. Now, 5:30 was a period of time we were going to see if we're going to get rid of some of these warnings. I don't believe so. This warning here goes until 5:30. We'll see if that is allowed to expire. But from Hubbard up towards Blooming Grove, we have this storm moving in. So that's a 6 o'clock severe thunderstorm warning. That's another 6 o'clock. So 5:30 here, 6 o'clock and 6 o'clock in terms of when these things expire. So we'll have to watch to see if the National Weather Service is going to issue new warnings to take these places. Is it over for Rice tonight? Rice is about to get another round of storms, just kind of grazing there. And then this storm off to the west, if it continues an easterly path, that could move towards Rice later this evening. So it does not look like Rice is done for the night. Let's watch and see if this warning drops off here. I believe. Okay, so that's till 5:45, and then that's a 6 o'clock warning. Yeah. Okay, so we've got another 15 minutes for this warning. So this isn't until 5:45, from just south of Ennis, Blooming Grove, parts of Corsicana there. So about another 15 minutes here, and that will be needed because this storm is moving in. That will probably bring some hail to this area. So they'll probably allow that to sit there, and then I'm sure as we get closer to 5:45 over the next 14 minutes, they will probably look at expanding that or establishing a new warning or something to make sure that parts of northern Navarro County are covered by a severe thunderstorm warning as severe conditions move through there. But no reports from this storm in Itasca, no reports of what is going on there. And there's a lot of questions of, is XYZ town, whatever city, going to get more rain tonight? Any area within the 4 counties, Ellis, Johnson, Hill, Navarro counties, any of the 4 could get more rain tonight. So there's no way to know if any of these areas are done for good. There could be more. I know that it's sunny in parts of Waxahachie right now, but that could only serve to heat the ground and provide more lift for new storms to develop. So the outflow boundary moving towards Cleburne right now, let's actually get a better look at that. So the outflow boundary moving through Cleburne now and it was stationary, but it's getting a little more of a push now. So we still could see more storms developing along that outflow boundary moving eastward. So Waxahachie could get another storm tonight. It's not there yet, but it could happen later. We just don't know. That has not been the trend. So far, Waxahachie's only had the 1 storm. But we could very well see more. So if you're in the severe thunderstorm warning, the watch, that continues until 10 p.m., you still need to be keeping an eye on all of these conditions. All of the storms in Navarro County kind of coming together now, so it's just one big blob with heavy rain and lightning, and we'll take a look and see what kind of hail prospects we might be looking at there. So not much, probably some small hail just south of M House there. Still some decent hail north of Hubbard to the northwest of Dawson there, so another decent hail core. And probably looking at some hail from Itasca towards Milford here as well. Small hail. I don't see anything that immediately has me terribly concerned about the golf ball to egg size hail we saw earlier tonight reported in Corsicana. So I think we might be getting a bit of a break there. But I'll tell you, we have definitely had some serious hail going on across our area tonight. And I'll plug them one more time, and I may do it again, but if you need your roof checked out and you don't want to get up there by yourself, I don't, I know that. I'm never interested in getting up on the roof by myself, never really enjoyed that, not a heights guy. So when it comes down to checking your roof, looking to see if that damage is up there, Synergy Roofing, they do free inspections. Okay, so they will get up there. They won't charge you to do it. They will get up there and take a look and let you know if that hail damage is there. And they will help with that, help you kind of better understand the insurance process as well, so that you can make sure that that's taken care of from start to finish. But they do a wonderful job. But when it comes to this evening, or hopefully you're waiting until tomorrow to actually look at the roof to see if there's any hail damage there, let the professionals do it. Synergy Roofing won't charge you for the inspection. They want to get up there and they want to take a look. And I'm looking to see, you've been asking where the cat is, where the weather cat is, and I don't see him. We can see if he's outside right now. I don't see him out there. He's outside somewhere. He doesn't look like he's here at the house, but I thought I heard him knocking at the door. And when I say knocking at the door, I mean he jiggles the handle. I'm not kidding. He will sit there and jiggle the handle on the front porch to see to see if anybody's going to let him in. Going across Corsicana right now, I don't see any terribly concerning. Really, the worst thing across Navarro County right now is we could be looking at some hail north of Hubbard. You see this kind of area of focused lightning there. So to the northwest of Dawson, north of Hubbard, could be looking at a hail core there, and then could be looking at some hail in this fresh storm over in the Itasca area. But at least for the next 10 minutes, this severe thunderstorm warning continues. Yeah, so there it is from the National Weather Service. This severe thunderstorm warning continues for about the next 10 minutes here, and then for the next 25 minutes for both of these. So for this from Hubbard to Dawson, over almost to Wortham, this warning continues until 6 o'clock, as does this one here. And there is no warning for this storm on the west side of Italy, although that looks to be moving towards Italy and could very well bring more hail to the Italy area. There was plenty of hail just a few minutes ago, and there's been plenty of hail across the whole area here. I've gotten a lot of pictures, a lot of video of hail, and I don't know what, if any of that, I'll use, so don't be offended if I don't end up putting your video or your picture on air, but that's just how, that's kind of just how that goes. Grab another drink of water here. Keep my throat hydrated here. Janice, you're saying in a YouTube comment, pull trees out of the ground, ripping building up. Give me more detail on that. Are you saying that that's damage that's near you? If so, give us a location. Give us a little more detail there, and let's put this into motion. And looks like all of this activity over in Navarro County has all kind of just come together. The nice thing is this will probably help to kind of mitigate the hail threat here a little bit, because what's going to happen is as this comes together, it's going to make it harder for any one updraft to at least in the short term, for any updraft to dominate here. So looking like we could be looking at some weaker activity there in Navarro County, but the flood advisory does continue. So for Navarro County, you definitely need to be concerned about that. Look at echo tops. The storm is tall. Yeah, I mean, that's in the tall echo tops is the reason why we're looking at the hail getting so large so fast, is because those updrafts are so powerful. And I'm trying to get a location on Reed. Looks like he's in Godley, Texas. Okay. So Reed is in the Godley area. And what does it say? Moving towards Crescent. So let's take a look at where Reed's going. what he's trying to target there. Okay, so looks like he wants to get probably towards this storm. So we will have to watch this one now. I'm glad I panned out. We have a new storm off to the, well, there you go, boom, bam, bang. New storm just north of Gordon here, south of Mineral Wells. That's moving to the southeast here, and that will be moving towards western Johnson County. So that storm, though, we have some rotation with that storm at this point. At least that's what it looks like. So we'll keep an eye on that. Because again, that is moving at a decent pace. I mean, how fast is that moving? East at 30 miles per hour. So not extremely fast, but I mean, it's moving quickly enough. So that storm moving this way, going to be moving towards western portions of Johnson County over the next several minutes. So we have the storms right now, all of these severe thunderstorm warnings covering Navarro County at this time. And then off to the west, we're watching this large storm, this supercell thunderstorm, that's going to be moving towards Granbury and eventually towards western parts of Johnson County. So away we go, and that'll be another several minutes there before that moves in. But that'll be worth watching for sure, especially as this activity continues to wane. Now, I say waning, the hail threat appears to be waning a little bit. Let's take a look at that. Again, some of these hail views are kind of behind. So again, probably some more hail around Hubbard, Dawson, really north of there. But that's kind of what we're expecting. I'm expecting this hail core to probably weaken over the next few minutes. It looks like it's kind of strengthening there a little in that last look, but that was almost 10 minutes ago. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if I won't be surprised at all if we see that hail core start to kind of fall apart a little bit. This storm from Itasca over towards Blooming Grove, that's weakening there. You can see these other hail cores that kind of weaken as they move in. So we're seeing all of this activity kind of congeal into this one blob of just heavy rain and lightning. That's mostly what we're seeing across Navarro County here. So, okay, so we're looking. There's an update. So, okay, well, we may be looking at an increasingly more intense hail core there. In far southwestern Navarro County, and then far southeastern Hill County here, north of Hubbard, and west of Dawson, northwest of Dawson, there now. So yeah, so very high cloud tops in Dawson there, because again we're looking at this increasingly severe at this point, probably hail core there. So really the strongest storm in our area right now, go back to this reflectivity, there's plenty of heavy rain going on across Navarro County here. Flood advisory for Navarro County. I want to make sure we keep repeating that. Reed getting the drone deployed there, and we'll see what he finds. I don't really have anything to say about Shreveport. It's a little farther out of my purview here. We're between Dallas and Waco. So I'm not really sure what to expect in the Shreveport area tonight. But the strongest part of this storm is kind of anchored here right near Dawson and Hubbard. So a decent hail core there as we're looking at this storm that, again, is kind of just coming, this is all just kind of coming together. This storm west of Italy is really not looking very intense at this time, but again, in the Dawson-Hubbard area, and you're probably looking at some stronger winds there too. So the Hubbard-Dawson area, that's where we're looking at some of this stronger activity, probably the strongest part of this storm right now. And then we'll continue to watch that over the next several minutes here as we appear to have a strengthening hail core there. But what's interesting, and what we're going to have to watch as it's coming our way, is this storm out near Gordon, in the Gordon area, near really south of, so that's Palo Pinto County. This is north of Stephenville, and going to be moving towards northern Erath County there into Hood County there into the Granbury area. So that storm will need to be watched. And I mean, we put this velocity back on, and definitely not seeing the kind of rotation that I was seeing a moment ago. But man, oh man, that was pretty intense. We put this into motion here. You can see those brighter greens that were interacting with the red there. So I was a little concerned about that for a moment. But it looks like that storm losing some of that rotation. That's probably due to some of these little tag-along storms here that have kind of broken up that rhythm. But as we put that into motion, here's Johnson County. That storm is making its way, and there's my wife tantalizing me with dinner in the oven. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe there'll be me. Maybe you'll get to see me eat a little food on air. It's not something I normally do. But let's take a look here. Just want to send a little message along there. But we'll watch that storm as that continues to move our direction. And, you know, it's got a ways to go. So we don't know for sure if that's going to quite make it. It's chicken Alfredo too. So we do, okay. Talking about food, I've completely lost my tongue here. Dawson, look at these winds. And how quickly, okay, so that's could be a developing downburst there. So downburst winds, so you're going to see this kind of spreading out here, and you see that there's the green, and then there's the red all of a sudden. So could be looking at downburst winds, microburst winds, intensifying very very quickly there. So we'll keep an eye on that in the Dawson area. Very strong winds moving through there. Going to be moving towards El Dorado Center, and eventually across, really right now moving across 31, and then south of 31 pretty soon. So just keep your mind on that. And again, we're looking at let me get this hail core back up here. We're looking at this hail core. So where you have these hail cores, you're moving energy down from the storm when hail is falling and when heavy rain is falling, and you put wind with that as well. That can very quickly cause more problems than you really want to deal with. So this storm at this point is really the highest concern. And I hear there's a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for Navarro County. Let me see if I can get a map on that, because it's kind of hard to tell at this point what warning is what. Okay, so essentially this warning was redrawn and reissued to 6 o'clock. So that's kind of uniform with the other warnings that we have. So really all of Navarro County at this point is under a severe thunderstorm warning for another 12, 13 minutes here until 6 p.m. So that's kind of where we're sitting now. Now, this storm, if that continues to intensify, it may need to go longer than that. I mean, we take a look at this, and you can see how that hail core has definitely blown up there. And looks like a little bit of a hail core trying to resurge a little bit south of Italy. They're going to be moving towards Blooming Grove, but definitely not as intense as this. And we're going to get back to this velocity here too, because we are seeing increasing wind speeds in the Dawson area. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about especially the combination of strong winds and hail, because that's when we really start running into problems here. So as this continues to move eastward, we will be looking at more issues coming up as we are watching the winds increase there, those possible downbursts or microburst winds that are occurring. If you're in a sturdy home, get away from windows when this is coming through. Get away from windows, get into an interior home. If you're ahead of this, not in it, but if you're ahead of this and you're in a manufactured home, get out of the manufactured home if you can safely in time before, I mean, this is moving very quickly. Basically, you don't want to be in a manufactured home or a manufactured building in straight line winds like this. But this is a time to take shelter because straight line winds can do tornado grade damage, weak tornado grade damage. I mean, you're talking 60, 70, 80 mile per hour winds. You can do some damage at that point. That's why that 60 miles per hour is the kind of the baseline for severe weather, severe thunderstorm warning. So just keep in mind that strong winds are moving through Dawson right now. Now, the other thing too, that's what I'm thinking. We're looking pretty high up in the storm. We're farther away from the radar at this point. So the winds at the surface may not be as strong as what the radar is seeing, but these could very easily make it to the surface, especially today. Today we've been looking at a lot of these things becoming surface features. So just don't be surprised if, in fact, there are stronger winds at the surface in this part of the storm. It may take them a little longer to get to the surface, but the way that the hail is falling, the way that all of this is moving downward towards the ground, towards the surface, I wouldn't be surprised if we are getting stronger winds at the surface level in that storm. So, and you can see here, so you can see the rain rates increasing here, probably the hail core increasing there. So that's kind of the strongest storm we have in our area. It could be some small hail south of Italy there. I don't think this is anything severe. But rain continuing across Navarro County. If anything, that's starting to kind of thin out just ever so slightly. But the Dawson area, this is definitely the strongest part of the storm right now. And so the two features that we are watching right now, well, we'll have to watch some of this new activity in northern Hill County here as well. But the two main things that we're watching are there is this storm in southwestern Navarro County, and then this storm moving towards Hood County right now that will probably eventually move towards Johnson and maybe even towards Hill counties at this time. So we do have one storm currently impacting our area, and then there will be one to watch that's further upstream. So that's kind of where we're at right now. The severe thunderstorm watch, let me remind you, continues until 10 p.m. So we could be doing this for a while now. I mean, we've been on air, again, I keep checking this, but we've been on air for over 2 hours now, and we could still be just getting started. Now, people keep asking me, is Waxahachie done? Is Cleburne done? These areas where I think the sun's still out. Where I am here at the studio. So nicer conditions right now, but we could easily see more development. Let me just send another message out here. Make sure that we check on these 6 puppies that are running around this house, running around one room in the house at least. Okay, yeah, so outflow winds beginning to move into Maypearl here. So these little outflow boundaries, again, you have these little outflow boundaries bouncing around. They cause chaos. That's what they do. They're like the Joker. They just like chaos. That's just kind of how they roll. That's what they do. And we have more of those outflow boundaries popping up. And we have the main outflow boundary here that's kind of running everything. And then, the outflow boundaries moving northward. We see that as well. That could cause more development in Johnson County, possibly Ellis County too. So as we go, there will be more to pay attention to as we move forward. Let me kind of check on where things stand. Again, thank you for the donations that have come in. I was always beat over the head for not thanking enough and not mentioning that enough on the stream. So I'm trying to do better at that. But thank you so much for the donations that have come through. Between that and the advertising, that is a big part of what helps. And I never want to charge you a dime for any of this service. I never want to charge a dime for it. And but your donations and the income from the advertising, those things add up. Those things help to pay those bills. They help to support the family. They help me to eat, and maybe a little too much, but they allow me to keep this thing going without having to charge you for this service. So that's just kind of how that works. And I'll put the donation links up there again. We kind of have a low point here just a little bit. Obviously, again, if you're in, is my mouse working? I'm not sure the mouse is working. This mouse has been giving me so much trouble. I can't even see it. Where's the mouse? I'm going to need this mouse. I'm just going to have to maybe pull this up here. Well, something happened there. Lost my visual on the radar there. Okay, there we go. So, let me... I'll pull that up. But yeah, you know, the donations that are given, and I want to keep making this free. But that's the thing is you guys do your part in helping me make sure this is free, and that I can continue to do this. So that's just the way, you know, that these things go. Any kind of content creator, this is not traditional income, right? So. You know, it's not always the easiest route to go, but you all have been so fortunate, or you've been also generous to me, and we've been fortunate to be successful, that you guys make the difference. So we don't have to charge for this. So it's a great thing. Suzanne donating $20. Well, thank you so much, Suzanne. Let me tell you a little bit about Suzanne Littleton. She gave me some professional direction, gave me a lot of things to think about. In a time where I needed to be thinking forward more, she definitely instilled in me some of those, some of that focus. So thank you, Suzanne, for that. And even now, doing little bits to help me remain professional, develop professionally, and that sort of thing. So thank you so much there. Okay, the Storm Prediction Center issued a mesoskill discussion. We'll give that time to populate. We'll check that as well. I want to make sure I'm mentioning the flood risk here. I seem to be harping on that a lot, but the flooding issue is really one that needs to be paid attention to in the Navarro County area right now. And then we are still looking at a strengthening storm north of El Dorado Center, just moved through the Dawson area. So this is to the southwest of Corsicana here. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're watching, is southwest of Corsicana, down Highway 31, looking at an increasing hail threat there. Let's kind of dig into this storm a little bit. Look at the velocity. We still have, wow, look at that. Yeah, so we still have these winds, and we're getting more of that bow shape here too. So that needs to be paid attention to for sure, moving out of Dawson. Now the storm is moving eastward, but moving southeastward is this increasing wind threat. So now again, I want to mention to you, we are looking, the radar beam goes straight. The Earth, sorry flat earthers, it curves. So when you're looking at a radar beam that's going straight and the Earth is curving, the radar beam is going straight, but it's going to start going higher and higher up. Okay, so we need to talk about something. Let me give this a moment to kind of work itself out in the chat, and then we'll have something else to discuss. But the radar is looking pretty high up in the storm. Sometimes you're going to have stronger winds higher up that you don't have on the surface. But I will tell you that things have generally been moving downward towards the surface tonight, if you hadn't noticed already, right, with all the hail and the rain. So I'm willing to bet that we could very well be looking at strong winds out of this. And here's that new warning that includes part of Navarro County here, Navarro Limestone and Freestone there, that until 7 o'clock. So it's hard to see what warnings are where. They're overlapping in Corsicana so much. We'll have one of those, really all of the Navarro County warnings, most of these will go out of effect. This one, and this one will go out of effect in the next really minute or two here. Should see several of these drop off over, and that will happen here. So there's reports of a rotating wall cloud just outside of Hubbard, and I'm not sure how legit that is. I'm not sure how legit. I'm not seeing any kind of rotation near that area, so I'm not sure how legit the report of a funnel cloud is in Hubbard. Well, we will keep an eye on that. Now that was about 15 minutes ago, so it sounds like if there was a wall cloud, a rotating wall cloud, then it's probably going to be with this feature here, and I have my doubts. I think this is going to be more straight line winds. So I'm not thinking that rotation is a thing with this. Now I get that there's green and red, but I don't think that we're looking at rotation here. I think we're probably more likely looking at and that it looks like that's a repeating report. So I think that there may be an error there. But I think we're looking more so at probably a shelf cloud, which is where it kind of looks like a foot almost, or it's a shelf that's moving across, and it can look like a wall cloud at first glance, but they're not rotating, right? It's just kind of marching on. So those warnings have cleared off, so we're getting a much fresher look at this. So here's the last severe thunderstorm warning for the Corsicana area. That warning goes until, we'll get to that in a second. So until 7 o'clock. So this continues until 7 o'clock. Enhanced velocity signature in southern Navarro will be moving, towards the Wortham area. So, and that, that again, to me, that's an indication of straight line winds. That's what it looks like to me. So we'll continue to monitor that. There's all these reports of there's all these reports right now of a wall cloud or rotating wall cloud, but I'm skeptical because I don't feel like I'm looking at rotation necessarily in this. Let me just continue to watch this, and I don't know about that. So there's a question coming up about a tornado warning there. I'm just not sure we're looking at rotation here. We'll see what the National Weather Service says about that. But I'm more concerned about straight line winds with this bow shape, this bow echo that's moving eastward. So that's what I'm concerned about right now. We'll see what the National Weather Service says about concerns of rotation, that kind of thing. But I'm just not. I don't think that's part of what we're seeing here. Now I'm seeing some pretty comical reports that the storm in the Arlington area, it's gone. Okay, well, the storm that was in the Arlington area has left the building quite effectively there. So we're watching this storm too, and we don't want to forget about this one. This is the one that could be moving towards western portions of Johnson County here. It almost, if it continues to move more southeasterly here, it could stay to the west. So we'll keep an eye on this as it gets closer to Granbury, Glen Rose. Could move into western portions of Johnson County, maybe western Hill County. New storm developing and intensifying right near Itasca here. So probably some hail there in that storm as well. So that's part of what we could be looking at in there. So if you're in the Itasca area, probably an increasing hail threat from that storm. We'll take a quick look at this. Yeah, so probably some hail in that core there south of Covington, west of Itasca. So just keep that in mind. Really, it looks like that's an old skin, so that's probably closer to Itasca, closer to 35 west at this point. So just keep in mind that there is an increasing hail threat there in the Itasca area. But really the most concerning storm at this time is severe warned here. This severe thunderstorm warning going through 7 o'clock, so almost another hour here. And you can see kind of this comma shape here, but this is really No plans to issue a tornado warning from the National Weather Service. So yeah, I don't think they're looking at rotation either. I think we're looking strictly at straight line winds from this storm moving towards Wortham and on from there. So I think that's the main issue we're seeing. This yellow here is where we're seeing those stronger winds that are moving east southeast there. So that is in. That's the only warning left right now for our area, and this until 7 o'clock. I do think this will be shaved back as soon as this part of this storm moves out and we get rid of this hail threat as well as the damaging wind threat. And that's far southern far southern Navarro County right now. So that's going to continue to move out, moving towards Richland and Curry and Wortham right now. As that continues to move on, that will move into other areas and we'll move out of our area, and maybe we can get, for the first time in a while, maybe we could be without a severe thunderstorm warning in our area. And yeah, and Terry has a good point. I mean, it's, you do need to shelter from those straight line winds because they can be just as dangerous as tornado winds. Now, generally lower end tornado winds, but you put all of that energy of a weak tornado into one direction, that unified force, that can do a lot of damage. So just bear in mind that you should be taking shelter, get away from windows, get away from those exterior walls as well. So just make sure that you're taking shelter if you do have those straight line winds moving your way. Now, if we look at the storm north of Stephenville, this is the one we've been watching from for a little while now that could be moving towards Johnson County here. Not seeing the rotation we saw earlier, but my gosh, we saw some pretty serious rotation there, but it looks like that has weakened now. But really what's left for right now is this storm in southern Navarro County. And what we're looking at, if you're not as familiar, the green and red, those are winds moving towards and away from the radar. And what we have right now, the yellow, is those stronger winds. What we have is what is called, and that was referred to earlier, is the enhanced velocity signature there, and that's, we're seeing increased winds. So again, from Wortham to Curry and Richland, right there along 45 and along, I think that's pointing to, 14 there? FN 14 maybe, but I think this is 35 west, and then you continue on with this road, and I believe that's FN 14 that I'm looking at, or Highway 14. Somebody in the comment section may be able to correct me, but from Richland to Curry to Wortham, and that's what we're watching move through. Could be in Winkler later on this evening, but that will continue to move on to the east and could cause some issues there. So just make sure that you're taking shelter there, that you're considering that. We'll take a look at the possible hail. Yeah, so decent hail threat with these storms as well. So just your classic severe thunderstorm in the form of this line that's pushing through. And then again, that's not in the Corsicana area. Here's Corsicana, here's Oak Valley. This is south of Corsicana, southwest of Corsicana. Will pass south of town. Could be again in Richland. The winds are really ahead of this hail threat, I think, on kind of the front end of that. But the winds moving through Wortham, Curry, and Richland right now, and then that hail threat will be moving in behind that. All right, so, and let's get back to regular reflectivity here. And if we look across the whole area, again, across Hill County right now, we still are getting these little pop-up thunderstorms. And this outflow boundary is still out there, and so we're seeing more and more of this development. Now, in Navarro County, what we're seeing is we're seeing dry air kind of shoving this southward. You notice that. So dry air trying to move in and kind of get rid of this stuff, but there's that storm that moved out of Italy. That will be moving towards the Rice area over the next several minutes, bring some heavy rain, maybe some small hail there. And then a couple of these stronger storms in the Hill County. So we'll take a look at those very briefly. From the Malone area, looks like between Malone and Penelope, moving right across 308 there, we have some hail possible there. And then right near, again, once again, near Itasca, looking at a small hail producer there, but definitely not as strong as the wind threat we're looking at moving towards Richland, Curry, and Wortham now. Looks like right there near Wortham is going to be the heaviest precipitation. Most likely going to see some hail out of that as well. So now let me take a look at some information sources here. And let me go ahead and get a quick drink of water here. Okay, that way you don't have to listen to that really loud bottle there. But we're going on. We've been on the air for a while now, and this is really kind of the more quiet that we have been. It looks like most of the heavier part of this storm, going to be sliding out of Navarro County very soon. This is the only severe thunderstorm warning left for our particular area. Other than this, we do have some stronger storms out there. We talked about this one near Hubbard, maybe some small hail there, a couple back towards Itasca here, but the strongest storm, obviously, this one in Navarro County behind me. So this storm, and then you get further out, and some hail south of Palestine there. Obviously, that's outside of our area. But if we zoom in, we've been tracking some strong winds with this, where you can see this darker line. There's going to be some stronger winds kind of on the front end of that. So that's moving into Richland and Curry and Wortham right now. Some larger hail near Wortham there, just to the west of there too. And that severe warned storm, that severe thunderstorm warning goes until 7 o'clock. But I do think that, Navarro County will be trimmed back from that over the next several minutes here. And I'm watching what the National Weather Service has to say, following information here too. The severe thunderstorm watch that is in place does continue until 10 p.m. It is about 6:11 right now. So we could very easily be looking at another 4 hours or so of storms. And you know, we don't have anything aside from this storm, which is exiting Navarro County. We don't have anything major that's dominating right now. There's a storm moving into the Whitney area right now, but we have these little spotty storms here. No big storms. We're watching this one that's trying to make its way towards Johnson County. We'll be keeping an eye on that too. But as this storm continues to move towards the exit in Navarro County, which is definitely very welcome there. I know that Navarro County has been through the ringer this evening, as has southern portions of Ellis County, parts of Hill County. This is one of those evenings where you are probably pretty ready for all of this to be gone and to get a break there in Navarro County. What you can notice here is this is all kind of moving south, looks like southwesterly. So probably an outflow boundary there that's kind of pulling some of this lift to the southwest, and that's kind of helping to pull that intensity out of Navarro County there. So doing a little bit of help there. And thank you again for the donations that are coming in through the Venmo and the Cash App and those kind of things. I definitely appreciate that. Man, the baby sounds ticked off. Must be waiting for must be waiting for dinner. I think we're all hungry over here, right? Maybe we'll make that a topic of conversation here. I know the chat session has kind of slowed down. Not a whole lot happening at the moment. Not a lot more to say, but let's go ahead and put in the comment section, what are you having for dinner tonight? Let's have that conversation, and let's take a break from just talking about storms here, and let's have that conversation. So if you're watching, put in the comment section there what you're having for dinner, and maybe we can have some more entertaining conversation there than just talking about hail. I think we've been talking about hail forever now. What I'll say about Gun Barrel City, and that's usually outside of my area, but Gun Barrel City, it's going to be like anywhere else here. We're looking at the possibility of more storms as we go through the evening. News for thunderstorm warning in Gatesville there, but we could very easily be looking at more storms for really any of the area that is in the severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. So, we may get a break here. Most of Ellis County has been kind of calm for a while now, but, we could easily see more storms and more showers developing throughout the evening. So that's just kind of what we're looking at there. And I'm looking to see where Reed Timmer is. Looks like he's in the Granbury area. So, and the baby is not happy right now.
Not happy.
Not happy at all.
He wants to see you.
Okay, well, Okay. Pull your shirt down. You're flashing everybody. So Jensen wants to make another appearance here, and he's probably hungry like I am. So that's probably part of that. But that's the greens. Yeah, that's the greens. And see, look at that. See, there's stuff behind us, and then you look behind us. That's not there. That confuses him every time. Blows him away that he, he'll try to look at what's on the screen. He'll look at what's on the screen on the monitor, and then look behind us and try to reconcile what's going on there. That's Kaufman. That's Kaufman up there, and he likes to play with the the strings on the light too, and all that good stuff. So he's, boy, you really did get quiet, didn't you?
He's just looking at himself.
You get looking at the radar. Well, don't push it down. You can't push the green screen down. Then it's just going to look weird. Then everybody's just looking at a TV. Oh. Future star of the show. Yeah, he'll be taking my job before long, putting me into early retirement. Then what I'm going to do? I need you doing sales. Why aren't you doing sales? See, I need this kid talking about the Venmo and the Cash App. He'd be raking in thousands probably. He's got that Gerber baby face. Look at that. Well, don't fall. He's got that Gerber baby face. Look at that. Because let's be honest, most of the money that goes into the Cash App and the Venmo goes to him. Goes in there. Goes to feeding you. Feeding and toys and whatever else you constantly need. I know. That's us right there. I don't think you're disagreeing with me. You're not arguing with what I have to say. You got to be careful with it. But we are. Let me get back on this storm here, just north of Mexia, in Wortham area, north of Mexia, and in fact, as I mentioned, that outflow boundary that's pushing this stuff southwestward, it's going to take the wind with it. So, flat. It's just boring. Was this less exciting than you thought it was going to be? Well, that's the microphone. You don't want to mess with that. But we do have stronger winds in the Wortham area right now, so we want to keep an eye on that. But this is pulling the severe weather out of Navarro County, so we should see this warning shaved down a little bit over the next few minutes. And, that will actually be the first time that we've not had a warning effective for our area in quite a while, at least an hour and a half, I think. So, let's get some peekaboo going on here. What's up?
Are you ready to come back with Mama?
Nope. No, doesn't want to leave. Okay. Well, here, he is growing fast for sure. Getting heavier. I do this thing where I do what somebody described to me one time as kid-ups, where I'll lift him up and that kind of thing. He has a lot of fun with it. I did it the other day. I almost had to take put an icy hot on my back after lifting this guy. I mean, I'm doing reps like that, and he's just too heavy. Okay. I think you need a snack or something. Although I don't know. That's a pretty impressive belly there. You see the resemblance? All right. Hand this guy back over and hope he doesn't flip out too much. you got to have the little appearances, right, by the kiddos. Let me see. Come on, okay. I get the warnings and stuff too on the phone, so I have to clear those out. Okay, checking on some other things. Yeah, so there's going to be hail in the Mejia-Wortham area. That's where some of the stronger winds are going to, and that's that strong. That's that severe thunderstorm warning until 7 o'clock. That's what that's covering, and things should be finally kind of winding down in Navarro County here. In fact, yeah, it looks like most of the heavy precipitation there in Navarro County is winding down. Looks like some of this convection over in Hill County is winding down as well. Plenty of spots, maybe some small hail, heavy rain there from Milford over to Itasca, south of Whitney, east of West. That was just fun to say, east of Abbott there in Hill County. So looks like things are winding down for our area. We need to go back to the northwest, and this storm trying to make its way. It's weakening though. Man, this is really falling apart. Not as intense as it was. Okay, I'll have to check that in a little bit, but I'm just kind of checking up some things have piled up on here, and I want to make sure I'm not missing any information that we need. So and the Mejia-Wortham, looking in the comments there. So that's where the heaviest storm is right now, and but like I said, fortunately, this is clearing most of the severity. There could be some of this just south of Richland there, outside of Curry. That's really where the rest of the severe stuff is going to be, the heaviest part of the storm. So as this continues, that will be moving across the county line. Will be moving across 45 here over the next few minutes. So as we look across, I want to just get a broad view here. We do have this last intense storm, this last severe storm, making its way to the southeast, excuse me. The outflow boundary is pulling southeast is the way the storms are moving. That will clear out Navarro County from all of this as well. And then we have this other convection, just these spotty thunderstorms. These are not severe at this time. Could be some heavier rain, frequent lightning and thunder. Could be some smaller hail there, but really not a whole lot. And then we're keeping an eye on this storm. This looks to go west of Johnson County, though. So I think, at least for the moment, we are kind of winding things down across the area. And the severe weather threat leaving Navarro County now. There could be some heavier convection. Let's take a look at this. Could be some heavier rain from Spring Hill down to Dawson, down towards Hubbard there. Possibly some small hail mixed in there as well. And then, so and I'm being reminded too of the hail in the Italy area, the repetitive hail in the Italy area. I think it hailed in Italy, 3 separate times throughout the evening. So fortunately, though, that is mostly past. Navarro Mills here looks like right along 31. A little bit of a developing hail core there. I don't know that this is going to be anything terribly intense, but we'll keep an eye on this here as the heaviest storm moves south. So that's moving out of the way. And I won't be surprised if this warning is kind of scaled back a little bit to relieve Navarro County of a severe thunderstorm warning for the first time in a while. They were covered in severe thunderstorm warnings for the longest time this evening. And then we do have this one storm that, again, is getting a little bit darker there. Could be developing a little bit of a hail core, maybe some nickel-sized hail possible there. I wouldn't say anything severe at this time, but that will be worth watching. So, as we look across everything here, things are winding down a bit, at least for the moment. What I'm going to do is we're going to wrap up this live stream, and we'll bring another update shortly if needed. But for the most part, we're not looking at an immediate severe weather threat for either of the 4 counties. Hill County, again, there's kind of this train of convection here. There's this storm near Itasca, this one from the Illy area over towards Blooming Grove, but none of this. So really the most intense storms are to the south right now. There is one that looks to be moving up 31 here towards the Corsicana area. We'll keep an eye on that too. But I'm going to give myself a breather and take an opportunity, take a chance to kind of take advantage of the lull here in activity. I'm going to go look at some more data as well. So I will bring continuing coverage if needed throughout the evening.